Ernie, Lane County Commissioner from Springfield. My favorite part is eating good food. My second favorite part is meeting with other commissioners, seeing what they're thinking, comparing solutions to problems, learning how nonpartisan solutions really are, and getting ideas. Yes.
Hi, my name is Derek DeGroot, Klamath County Commissioner, and so I'm running for second vice president of the Association of Oregon Counties. I believe that our association is perfectly poised to solve problems and bring solutions to Oregon politics and communicate with the legislature about the diversity of Oregon.
I'm Jay Bozovich, and I'm a Lane County Commissioner. And so I've been a commissioner for about 8 years and 11 months. And my favorite part about being a commissioner is this job is different every day.
Hi, my name is Alex Tardif, and I'm a commissioner for Columbia County and currently serving as AOC treasurer in my second year. And the thing I enjoy most about AOC and being the treasurer is the ability to bring 36 counties together to build a state vision, to move our state forward into the future while building a livable, workable community.
Welcome all. 9 o'clock, April 28th, 2021, Curry County, Oregon. We have our 4-H Extension Service District budget meeting. We have some people representing the OSU Extension in the audience. Cheryl McDonald, good morning.
Good morning.
We need to adopt real quick the agenda here. Do I have a motion on that board? Call to order, and do we have a quorum?
We do.
I skipped over that one,
No, Lynn, where's Lynn? But yes, we do. If
Terrific.
we have one budget committee member that I don't see here yet, but
Do we
with
need
the three of
Saul?
you and the two, we have a quorum.
Okay. And this distinguished group, so adoption of the amendment board. Looking for a motion?
Motion? So moved?
Thank you. Any discussion on that? Call for the question, please.
Commissioner Pash. Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
We need to have election of a chair.
We do. And I was wondering if maybe Peggy Gergen would like to do that since Brian got to do it last year. And Lynn's not here. I just looked it up last night to see who did it last year, and if you.
I hear the train coming, Peggy.
Yeah.
So is that an official nomination?
Thank you, Mr. Grumman. Peggy Gergen has been nominated as chair. So we now need to put that in the form of a motion, please.
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion? As Commissioner Herzog said, he heard the train coming.
If only your board members met and vote on that, though, correct?
I think we can all vote on it. Huh?
Well, you three are part of our board,
Right.
our
Thank you.
committee, I should say.
I'm saying all the members have to vote yea or nay. That's all I meant.
Yay.
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 Thanks, Cheryl.
We're
And
still
then do
friends,
you-
right, Peggy? Okay.
Couldn't do better. So do you have the minutes from our last meeting, Cheryl?
Do I have the minutes from your last meeting?
Previous meeting, yes.
I
Oh, good
do
job.
not.
You do.
From last year, I do not.
But Staff Jesuit has it. And we had that in our packet. So looking for a motion to approve the 2020 4-H budget meeting minutes, please.
So moved?
Thank you.
I'll second.
And yes, everybody can vote. All those in favor?
Yes.
All right.
That was easier, right? And we're looking for your presentation, Ms. McDonald. Thank you.
Okay, let me pass out some of my paperwork here.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, this is the time set for the Curry County 4-H and Extension Service Budget Committee meeting. Curry County 4-H and Extension Service District was formed in September of 1986, and voters approved its taxing authority in November of that same year. Its purpose is to provide funding for the operation of the Extension Office and delivery of extension programs in Curry County. The district is authorized to collect an ad valorem tax at a permanent rate limit of .1021 per $1,000 of assessed value on property within the district's boundaries, and these funds are dedicated to the district's operating expenses. The district is required to complete the local budget process per ORS 294. The district proposed budget for the 21-22 fiscal year includes a general fund beginning balance of $686,375, of which $300,000 is reserved for future expenditure, anticipated revenues of $323,777, expenses of $323,427, $500 as a placeholder for capital outlay, a contingency fund of $32,343, resulting in an ending balance of $659,046. The proposed reserve of $300,000 for future expenditure will be used for upgrades and remodel of the existing or potentially new office space, leaving an unallocated balance of $359,046 to address cash flow requirements in the beginning of the following fiscal year. Forms LB20 and LB30 summarize the district's current and proposed budgets and provide actual data for 2 previous completed budget years. The district does not provide services directly, rather it maintains an intergovernmental agreement with Oregon State University, OSU Extension, to provide extension educational programs and services in Curry County. This arrangement provides considerable leverage of the district's financial resources. The district provides funding to OSU Extension Service for the basic infrastructure of the Curry County OSU Extension Office, including office space, support and program staff, supplies, and travel. OSU provides in-kind support by assigning extension faculty to serve Curry County and provides administrative and accounting support. The local extension office generates additional funding through program fees, enrollments, product sales, and grants, and maintains a significant cadre of volunteers. As shown in the LB30, the majority of the expenditures budget for the district is included in the contract services line item. This reflects the funds paid to OSU for services rendered. Payments are made quarterly and on a reimbursement basis. The district account maintained by the county will continue to receive tax-related funds, including interest and penalty payments, and will make expenditures for insurance, administrative fees, and periodic reimbursements to OSU. To facilitate those reimbursements, OSU will track expenditures generated through program fees, donations, etc. This information will be made available to the district's board and budget committee. The proposed budget for the fiscal year 21-22 would certify a tax rate of .1021 per thousand taxable assessed value, the district's legal rate limit. The estimate result will be $310,941 in current year taxes. The budget estimates $12,000 in prior year taxes and $6,000 in interest earnings. The proposed district budget includes $323,777 for expenses, all of which is anticipated to be anticipated to reimburse OSU for costs of extension services to Curry County. OSU's reimbursable expenses are expected to include $232,377 for personnel, salary, and other payroll expenses, and $91,400 for materials and services. The Curry County Extension Office plans to include the following staff positions in the 21-22 fiscal year. 0.75 FTE Administrative Office Manager, 0.5 FTE Master Gardener Program Assistant, full-time 1.0 4-H Education Program Assistant, and 0.3 FTE portion of salary for Outreach Program Coordinator, 4-H and Family and Community Health. OSU intends to continue to support 2 of the faculty members in Curry County, leading local educational efforts focusing on a watershed management tourism development and 4-H youth development. Additionally, 5 faculty members housed in Coos County with responsibilities to serve Curry County as part of their assignments covering programs in tourism and business development, forestry, agriculture, marine and coastal communities, family and community health, and recently a regional fire specialist who is housed in actually in Jackson County, and he will be serving Curry, Jackson, Josephine, Klamath, and I think Douglas. I'd have to double check on that.
Would you mind repeating that, please? That last part there?
The regional fire specialist was just hired on, and there's, I believe, their plan is to have 6 throughout the state. Our regional fire specialist covers both Curry County, Josephine, Jackson, Klamath, and possibly Douglas, but I'm not positive on the Douglas end of it. His funds come from a state program separate from, none of his funding comes out of our budget.
Where's his office?
He's housed in Jackson County.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to pull him here.
Yeah, I actually, we brought him on last spring, late spring, so I haven't actually met him in person. Of course, we're still working remotely, but he's very interested. He's been over a couple of times to, kind of check out some of the areas, and I know that Frank Burris was going to get him in touch with everybody concerned regarding forestry issues and some of the issues we've had with Biscuit, Chetco Bar, and the fires recently.
We're anxious to meet him. Good job.
Yeah,
Good to hear.
Right now, they're actually doing a summit to kind of assess what the needs are going to be statewide and regionally for fire protection. So you guys should be hearing from him very soon.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So does anybody have any questions? Comments?
How you doing with a mask?
If I take my glasses off, it's much easier.
We're hoping we only have about another month and a half.
Yeah.
Quite hopeful, got our fingers crossed, but thanks for wearing one today. Much appreciated.
Yes, we're still, though we still have a lot of programming going on,
Sure.
And following all the OHA guidelines. 4-H is still, going pretty strong, not a lot of meetings, large gatherings, sure. Obviously. They're planning to do a kind of an abbreviated fair this year. We're going to do have the kids turn in some entries for static exhibits and do some judging. Not, it won't be out for display, but there will be a livestock auction. And they did that last year as well, and they're going to hopefully do a little bit more. And we're kind of working with the fairgrounds because they're trying to work on a community event as well, to kind of keep people together. Our Master Gardeners are doing a Seed to Supper program they've been doing for quite a while. The gardens are up and running and doing really well. Matter of fact, their sale, I believe, starts today.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the sale's been going, it's been on for about a week on the web.
On the web. Yeah. Okay, so.
Let's hear it for the master gardeners. That's
Yeah.
terrific.
Yeah.
So we're,
Yeah.
we're anticipating that we're going to be able to get out there in more force very soon. Fingers crossed.
Well, good presentation. Commissioners, any questions? Last chance. Public comments? Anyone?
I guess, I'm Brian Drummond. I would make.
Come up to the microphone, please, sir.
I know we spent some
I've been
time
looking for a
talking
change.
yesterday, but I'm very pleased with how much 4-H has been able to get done in spite of COVID. I think it's a mark of people's willingness to do whatever it takes to still provide a service in spite of COVID. So I'm quite pleased with what they've done.
Brian, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's been especially hard for the youth, all the way around with the schools, doing remote learning. And then, those kids, they have so much fun all together. And it's really, difficult for them to all not be able to get together in a big group and, do their thing. But hopefully we're going to make it. We'll make it.
Well, thank you again. So we need to approve your budget, correct?
We do.
Yes. So, board looking for a motion here.
I move that we approve their budget.
I'll second.
And that was a 2021-2022 budget.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
4-H extension.
4-H Extension Service District. Hey, thank you again. Any further discussion, board? How about we do this? Peggy, please come up. You got to adjust those microphones as you do.
I just wanted to add a comment to what my colleague said, that this office has been doing an outstanding job, even given COVID. This last fall, I was faced with an abundance of apples and trying to do a apple pie filling, and found what I needed as far as recipes and instructions on the OSU website for extension, which was very helpful, but then I couldn't find the product that I needed to make it thicken. And it turns out that the extension office, our contract with the person who's housed at Coquille, she not only had what I needed, but she was stocking it because everybody was having trouble finding it, and she was able to send me what I needed in the mail, and it was just another example of how Extension reaches out and does what they can to help folks. And just weirdly enough, we got this dog about 4 years ago, and on my long Extension connection, never did I realize that my dog's sire belongs to a kennel that is owned by the head geneticist in the animal studies at Oregon State.
Crazy.
That story's almost believable.
So did you want me to continue this, or are you can I appoint you sub-chair?
Excuse me, we have a motion on the floor, but if you wouldn't mind, I would love to have you take the lead there.
Okay. Any further discussion? Then I guess we can call for a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
All right.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Great traditions. Thank you very much.
Good.
Do we have any further business?
I don't think so. We can adjourn. Thank you again for being here today.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
See everybody back here at 9:30, eh?
There's something about having land and sea. Never having to choose between digging in or looking out. Here, you can go where the spirit or the wind moves you. To the tops of the trees, along secluded beaches, or into more wild and scenic rivers than anywhere else in the western United States. We're the closest place to the sunset while still keeping your feet dry, and a destination where anyone can begin. We share more than we keep, so you can see more than you imagined. This is a place you have to touch, hold, and feel to believe. The entire shoreline of the West Coast's best coast is open to you, and playgrounds made of forests are waiting for you. Escape to Curry County and don't leave anything out.
If yours is the next big idea, and you need the right place to fine-tune it, build it, launch it, if you're only your best when you can play more than you work, if inspiration comes from the outside, you belong in Curry County. The westernmost point of the land you love, and the edge between familiar and uncharted. Break the pattern. Be where the airports are as close as the beaches, and industry and recreation never cease to amaze. Dock, dive, and dine in a single day, and never lose your connection. This is the threshold of the West. Live where you can do you, and do it well, at the farthest point from ordinary. Curry County, living on the edge.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Wildfire, as everyone knows, has emerged as one of the big major issues affecting Oregon and, for that matter, all western states. A real actionable response that's including how do we fight fire, actively managing our forests so that we don't have the fuels out there, and how are we going to protect communities from smoke exposures. The council is really set up to have a comprehensive strategy that's based on action and based on protecting our communities.
The primary focus we as a board have come through with is that in researching the policies for fire management, yes, prescribed fire has its place on the landscape, but not during fire season. We, as a county, passed a proclamation that says once the state fire marshal declares fire season, it'll be nothing but full suppression, and recently took a resolution to the National Association of Counties, essentially says that they support coordination between agencies and local governments for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens regarding fire. Prescribed fire, fire season, anything that affects our citizens.
This is Lily Morgan from Josephine County, and we are at the Rogue Leadership Forum today, looking at the best possible partnerships that we can come up with to fight the fire issues and the smoke issues that we're facing in Southwest Oregon. So looking forward to coming up with solutions and the partnerships to get the job done so we don't face what we have the last few years with catastrophic fires and smoke that invades our communities for months to come. So this is a good opportunity, and we hope to be successful in the outcome.
Seeing so many people come together has really been exciting for me because there's a lot of expertise, there's a lot of resources, and as we attempt to do a shared stewardship approach to keeping people safe, it's really important that we get together. So my name is Merv George Jr., and I'm the Forest Supervisor for the Rogue River Siskiyou National Forest. The first things is making sure to get fires out if they're threatening life and property. The second thing that I'm going to focus in on is when it's safe to do so, to put some fire on the landscape when it's cooler and not during fire season to reduce these same fuels that are giving us so much fits during the fire season.
Bob Horton, I'm the fire chief of Jackson County Fire District 3 in Southern Oregon. The challenges that are facing us in terms of the mega fires and the wildfires that we've been experiencing out in this valley, particularly in the last couple of years, but across the state and across the region, incredibly concerning to us in the fire community, those in our communities in general, our constituents and our patrons are extremely concerned, as they ought to be. And really the takeaway from the work that's being done now is this is an extraordinary collaboration of dozens on dozens of interested stakeholder groups who are coming together with a common purpose. It's really an inspiring showing of humanity to not only be able to provide for a greater quality of life for our people, but to be strong stewards of our land, so that our future for us and generations to come is incredibly bright.
Very pressing issue. It's bearing down on us. Fire season is approaching, and I am really interested in preventing my home and other homes in my community from being impacted by wildfire, specifically from being burnt down. That's my main reason for being involved.
Quite a collaboration of folks. We're here looking for practical solutions to help us unravel some of the issues surrounding wildfires today here in the state of Oregon. And my focus really is on planning for large wildfire events in advance of their occurrence. That way, when they do occur, we can respond more appropriately to those situations.
Well, I just think it's grand if all of the people all over the state have come together today to be concerned about water. It just warms my heart, because I know that they really will leave here today feeling more impressed about the water, because I have told them that we're all born in water. We cannot live without it. It's our job to take care of it, stop the garbage in the rivers and streams and oceans, because there's life in that water, and it's our job to keep it clean for them. Because we cannot live on this planet without the animal kingdom. I was in Ohio at the Ohio River with Dr. Emoto, the Japanese scientist who had proven water could heal. He and I stood on the riverbank and blessed the Ohio River that they had us come to do. And I prayed that God has still kept the river good for them over there. We were taught when we were little that prayer works. You too will remember your prayers, because they work. It has nothing to do with religion or church.
Why do counties matter? Simple. Counties provide the services we all depend on. If you're concerned about crime, get a regular flu shot. Drive to work. Take public transportation. Or experience a natural disaster in your community. Chances are you benefit from county services. That's why counties matter. With America's system of federalism, counties are a key level of government, serving the people directly. So, do you vote? Had a recent hospital stay? Know someone in a nursing home? More reasons why counties matter. There are 3,069 counties across the country, with populations big and small. Most of us live and work in one. Even the nation's capital is considered a county. These county governments ensure that the food you eat in restaurants is safe. They care for the mentally ill, run court systems, build local economies, and operate 911 emergency systems. They manage parks and recreation facilities, and the list goes on. Thing is, counties serve the American people in so many ways, keeping our communities healthy, vibrant, safe, and fiscally sound. That's why counties matter.
Hi there, I'm Patrick Priest, Executive Director at CIS. And I really enjoy coming every year to this conference because CIS, we are all about counties. We are owned by counties. We were formed by the AOC. This is a great occasion for us to meet everybody in one place and learn what's important to the counties all across Oregon.
It's the networking. I mean, we learn a lot about the different issues that counties deal with, but it's networking with other commissioners, getting ideas on how they handle situations that is the most helpful for me.
I love my job. It actually matters to me on a daily basis. I used to do a lot of charity, and, you know, in commissioning in Deschutes County, you can make a serious difference. Lots of things have
Well, good morning, all. Welcome. Curry County, Oregon Board of Commissioners meeting, April 28th, 2021. It is 9:30. We please stand for the flag salute. Everybody got a microphone on. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So introductions here. To my far left, Director Rickert, Curry County Commissioner Christopher Pash, Court Boys here, Commissioner John Herzog. To his right, Curry County Counsel Anthony Pope, and to his right, Staff John Jesuit. Welcome, everyone. I have a line of duty desk for police officer report. Quickly here, the numbers are growing. I'll have a more extensive report next week. As of yesterday, 109. Last year was 360. The last 5 years, 1,173. Last 10 years, almost 2,000. And the total number of all time line of duty deaths for law enforcement officers in the US of A, almost 25,000. For veterans, some of you remember Mike Burns was here 2 months ago and had quite a message for 2 U.S. senators. I want to read something real quick here just to kind of put things in perspective for our last 3 wars. The number of veterans in the United States declined by about a third, from 26.4 million to 18 million between 2000 and 2018. Fewer than 500,000 World War II veterans were alive in 2018, down from 5.7 million in 2000. Women make up a growing share of veterans, about 1.7 million, or 9% of veterans. As of 2018, it is projected that number will jump to 17% by the year 2040. The largest cohort of veterans alive in 2018 served during the Vietnam era. This is something I didn't know when it comes to that time. 6.4 million served in that war. And you may recall we lost 58,000 people in that Asian war. It lasted from 1964 to 1975. The second largest cohort of living veterans served during peacetime, only 4 million. The median age of veterans in 2018 was 65. By service period post 9/11, veterans were the youngest with a median age of about 37. Vietnam era veterans had a median age of about 71. And World War II veterans were the oldest with a median age of about 93. Thank you, Board. I also have a quick COVID report. For the last week, we gained 25 new positive cases. That puts us at 627, excuse me. But we've held the deaths to 9 for the last 3 months. It was almost 1 year ago that we recorded our first positive case. We had a 4-H budget meeting here a little bit ago, and I asked the speaker how she felt about the mask. I think you're going to see that we only have about a month to go. That's our hope. We need to note that Jackson, Josephine, Klamath County all went back to extreme. There are 15 of the 36 counties that are in extreme right now. So obviously it's making a little bit of a surge. I'll conclude with this. The governor's been partnering with the Oregon legislature for $20 million emergency relief package to immediately aid businesses in extreme risk counties. Some of the counties that may not qualify in that right now, we're going to be pushing hard to make sure that we're included in that $20 million. And we are. And we're getting help from State Representative Brock Smith, Senator Dallas Hurd. Very, very important. So, board, we need to approve the agenda. Any changes or recommendations there, if you would, please? Start with Commissioner Herzog.
I would ask that in discussion action items, 7L, if we could move that to the front. I know everybody wants to be in the front, but we have an issue with a doctor who needs to get back to her practice, and it's just an ask.
I think that's very good, and I'm going to add to that, if I may, and maybe we can jointly approve this for the request by Gordon Clay declaring May 9th National Children's Mental Health Awareness Day. So we would put him at A1 so we don't confuse our numbers or have to change all of our numbers, if that's okay with the board. And A2 would be, per your request, Commissioner Herzog, the South Coast Parks and Recreation District. So it'd be A1, and A2, if that's okay. And A would remain the County Assessment Function Funding Assistance CAFA grant. So probably need a motion on that, if somebody would, please. Oh,
we have changes here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We'll wrap them all in, but does everybody have a consensus or an understanding on that? Okay, I'm going to go back to the front here. The Housing Committee, I want an appointment. I'd like to put that on other and make a presentation to the board at the end of the day, assuming we have time. If not, we're going to have to take it up on May 12th. And also on the American Rescue Plan, I would like to ask Director Rickert, I just have a couple of questions there. So I want to pull those off the consent agenda. And then on item 7M.
Can I ask,
yes, go
Chair,
ahead.
The 6C, where do you want to put that? In other also?
We could put that at the very end, which would be 7N. Does that make sense, board? The great acronym, ARP. So is that okay?
Fine with me.
Do you have anything else?
I do.
Go ahead.
I would like to pull 7A and move it to other. I have some questions in executive session for our assessor, and it is about some of the questions or some of the answers in the CAFA grant. So I'm asking that, and I also asked in the executive session if Assessor Colin would be present for that, if it's possible. But I have some questions for him on the CAFA grant, and then we can act on it after the executive session. We can still act on it in other.
Was that, if I may ask, was that executive session 10? Did you already make that, or are we going to add for it?
1926602B is what my ask was.
So to consider the dismissal of disciplining and/or hear complaints or charges brought against a public officer.
I've talked to Council Pope about this, and he agreed that should be talked about in executive session.
So is it related to the CAFA grant, however?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank
It's
you.
related to the language in the CAFA grant.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't have an issue with that.
That's all I have.
So 7A moves to 10B. Okay, so I have item 7M.
Board Chair?
Yes, excuse me.
7A would move to 12.
You're right, on other.
Right.
No? Didn't we just put that in executive session?
Well, no, it's already in executive session.
So
the decision, we can't make decisions in executive session. So 7A, if we're going to make a decision, could still be made today. In 12 in other, or if we decide to after executive session, we could put it off for another week, but if we can, I'd like to move it forward today. I just have a couple questions for Assessor Colin on it, that's all.
Okay. Okay.
And I think we have...
So it's listed as 12B on CAFA. Excuse me, go ahead.
I think Council Pope and Director Rickard both have some things.
Okay.
I think it might be the same thing, but I'd ask that we move 7M, approval to discontinue use of OpenGov software, if we could move that into the executive session. Since it deals with contracts and stuff, I'd like to talk about it then.
As long as you help us keep track of all this today.
Trying.
So that'll go into executive session. Which one, please?
D. Yeah.
Commissioner?
Yes.
So,
welcome,
the
Assessor
moving
Colin.
of the CAFA grant to the executive session is coming as a complete surprise. I'm surprised that any commissioner would really want to come up with a complete surprise on something that's been in the queue for this meeting for 2 weeks. But one thing I will say is you cannot put off taking some action on the CAFA grant for another week or till the next meeting.
And I'm not asking to, sir.
Well, you
I
just
submitted
said
it.
that.
I submitted an ARS for executive session last week on this. Staff has been made fully aware of it, and I'm not trying to hold anything up, sir. There's a language issue that I just want to ask you a couple of questions in executive session about it.
That'll be fine. I got no problem with that, but this is part of this culture of withholding information from people that need to know that Curry County has got going on right now. And you really should, if you've got questions, you really should have brought them to me when you had the question. This is, I don't know what it is that you're going to be asking, but this is, smacks of an ambush.
Thank you, Assessor Colin. Council Pope on LM, thank you for moving that to executive session. Much appreciated. The only other thing I have, Board, is 7E. Commissioner Pash, no supporting documentation there, which is okay, except I noticed in the ARS you asked for 60 minutes. Now, I think we've got substantial public comment here. And so I wonder if we can move that to the end of the day, because we're starting a half hour late. We have a workshop today. We have a very extensive executive session, so I'm worried about getting as much done as we can before the meeting, or before the afternoon. And you mentioned you needed 60 minutes, so I wonder if we could do that at the very end of our regular business meeting today. And or perhaps you could put in commissioner comments.
No, this isn't going to be commissioner comments. This is more talk about public health and what's happening here in the county. Some things that the board has already approved that I just want to make sure the board understands exactly what they did. And a lot of this D, E, F, G is all going to work in, and H are all going to work in together into one big topic, I'm guessing, because some of what I believe the board did, we'll talk about it as we get there. It may not need nearly an hour. I just wanted to leave an hour in case we had a really strong and serious talk about it. But to give up public health, and now I see where you're trying to move to give up mental health services as things brought before these meetings. that are, this is ultra important as far as I'm concerned. This should have been put in the beginning of the meeting, but I'm happy with it where it is, so I just like to leave it there if the board doesn't mind.
Commissioner Herzog?
I don't mind.
So you want to leave it where it is?
Yes, sir.
And the other one I had, you wanted to discuss the logo. There's no documentation on that either, but it is towards the end, so I need approval of the agenda with just a couple minor amendments.
So moved.
Second. With amendments.
Any further discussion? So you're all going to help us keep track of this, right?
We'll get her.
Call for the question, please.
Commissioner Pash.
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Public comments. In the order I received them, and I think we have quite a few, we're going to go to 3 minutes, be fairly strict on that, but we welcome everyone here. And the first one is Michelle Martin, please.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Can you hear me okay?
Pull that other one down.
Yeah,
This one
if
here?
you would, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I wanted to bring up a few concerns. One of them was that you received a letter from Oregon State from Rachel Banks, who is the public health director of Oregon Health Authority. And what she had done was she had outlined what needed to be done, what needed to come into compliance with the county administrator, Cherie Ward. She wrote a letter to Ms. Banks, and in that letter, I went through both of these, and she followed the questions that were asked, and then she submitted that letter back to Ms. Banks. I believe that you, Herzog and Commissioner Boyce, jumped the gun by possibly receiving a phone call from David Brock Smith, who received a phone call from Kate Brown. And I think that influenced your decision to act on this hastily. And I knew that when you guys did this with the health department, that the mental health would be next. And as I see on the agenda today, that it is. So I don't think that you gave Ms. Ward a chance for her letter to be received, be reviewed, and then looked at and then brought back to the board the recommendations, if there was any that she was out of compliance in or that she was in compliance in. I do not feel that you gave enough time for that letter to be received and to be reviewed. The next thing I'd like to bring forward is that Commissioner Boyce waiving fees for businesses, several businesses, and in doing so, that hurts our general fund. It also, if you're doing for several, you need to do for all. So all businesses in Curry County should not have to pay their fees if you're waiving for others. The next thing that I would like to bring forward is that, excuse me, is that Commissioner Boyce, you were served papers for a criminal investigation. I would like to ask this board to please go back and review Boyce's removal from chair. And I would also like to request that he is removed as a commissioner until this criminal investigation has been gone through the courts. Thank you.
Jeannie Albee, please.
Good morning. Thank you for letting me speak.
Step
I
up
want
just-
to bring up.
Can you step?
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah. I just would like to bring up the public health issue and the mental health now. I feel that, number one, you acted hastily. All my research coincides with Michelle's. I got the same information. And I think it hurts our county. And I just want to say that there was no transparency for the public. That's what the Board of Commissioners is supposed to be serving. It's a community here. And when you jump the gun and don't inform us, then we feel we can't trust you guys on the board to do what we need. There's no transparency. There has to be transparency for us to feel we can trust you. And right now, I don't. The only one I feel I can trust is Christopher Posh. He wasn't involved in this, and I really am angry that you did what you did without giving us a chance and giving Mrs. Ward a chance. She was doing what she was supposed to be doing. I know that Commissioner Posh was not involved in that decision to sign these papers. He voted against it. But now I don't feel like I can trust my commissioners. I feel with no transparency, that means that there's things going on that you don't want us to know until it's too late. And if you're going to take away mental health, you're really going to hurt this community. I live on 2nd, and I deal with a lot of the mental health patients. You know, clients up and down my alley. They cause me a lot of problems, but they need help. You take it, you send it to the state, we're not going to get the help that we need. They'll go along the compliance, but that does not mean that our community is going to be served. And I would also mirror Michelle's request to have Boyce removed until the criminal investigation is over. I do not feel I can trust him. And honestly, I'm really saddened because this really makes me have a distrust for our commissioners. You're supposed to be serving us. Serve us. Ask us. Let us have a voice, or at least understand what's going on so we can make alternative arrangements if that's what needs to be. Thank you for letting me speak.
Connie Lord, I believe the last name is pronounced. Do I have that right?
Good morning and thank you. I just wanted to express my opinion of the dislike the way it was handled as far as no public input. And it does feel like there was, to me, that it was some railroading maybe against another office in this county. A vendetta, I don't know. It just happened in a weird, fast way. And second of all, I just want to say that I did have the opportunity to basically tackle Cherie and get her to stop. She was flying down the hall one day. I know she's working her tail off to do all of this public health input. But specifically, I asked her if she thought this was a good idea. And she said, no, it will be very bad for our county. To me, that was what I needed to hear. If the person that's actually doing that job thinks it's a bad idea for our county, I don't know anyone else that would have a clearer picture of what goes on in that position. Thank you.
Maria Sudeth, please. Are we saying that the right way? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Sudeth. Answer to the
Short
mic.
on the U.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for letting me speak. I'm here on a different topic. I'm here about Southwestern Oregon Community College. I know that they're presenting today. As a Brookings resident and a candidate for the board, I am here to offer comments in support of Southwestern Oregon Community College. I think that there is a tendency to get caught up in thinking about the college experience offered here as two separate colleges, when in fact we are one college, meaning that Curry County resident students have the full rights and privileges afforded them as students of Southwestern Oregon Community College in its entirety. Community colleges provide affordable pathways to careers for our youth right out of high school, or those of us who want to make a career change later on. Our campuses offer over 70 programs for our students, a wide array of degrees and certificates providing meaningful opportunities, associate transfer degrees, associate applied science degrees, and several 1-year and 2-year certificate pathways. I'm wondering how many of us in our communities have checked out Curry Campus webpage or toured the campus. There you would find that our Curry campus specifically offers the following. The campus offers general education courses, community ed courses and programs along with specialty courses in nursing and allied health programs, education, criminal justice, digital design, and we're also your link to university transfer programs. On a personal note, my grandson just turned 18, and he sees himself as a millionaire in waiting. He has read a lot of self-help books, and at the campus they offer something that really caught my eye, entrepreneurship. degree. And I am really pushing him to come to our campus and take that degree, hoping that it really gets him back on track to seeing school as a good thing, and that no, he's not going to make $1 million on his webpage and being a professional poker gambler he wants to be. So I think that
that probably wouldn't make grandmother too happy, I assume.
no, he wants to come see me because I guess some of the indigenous tribes let you gamble at 18. So he's been studying how to be be on one of those professional tour things. So I really appreciate our Curry campus because I hope that it will get children like him back on track. And plus, the tradition in Curry campus is also for women being able to get back in on career pathways that really lift up our residents. So I also think it's very important for that. Something I really liked about the webpage was, because I'm a retired educator, I was especially interested in reading about the education journeys of 4 of our Brookings residents, especially Kara Daly, who is a mom with kids. She's going to school at the same time as her daughter, and she's taking advantage of the 4-year institution partnerships, so she's accelerating to get her teacher credential. So there's that story. Danny Hawthorne, physician's assistant, Karen Bastine, registered nurse, April Talbot, accountant. So I really think that, and all the certificate programs, part of why I'm running is I think there's a community gap, communication gap. I really don't think that we have enough open forums where we can hear from our community what they would like to see at our campus and in our college. And I also don't think there's enough information out there what we do offer. And so I just want to get that out there and support, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for attending today. Gordon Clay, please. First on the Southwest Oregon Community College presentation. Gordon, please.
What was that?
You had two slips, so we'll combine it from first on the...
I only had one. I had one for mental health.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. It says George Clay. Am I overlooking someone here? Come on up. Gordon, I'm sorry. I just glanced at that. Please come up, sir. That's George Clay and Gordon Clay. Or George Cady.
Cady,
Thank you.
C-A-D-Y.
Just the microphone, sir, if you would, please. My apologies again.
Cady, C-A-D-Y. Sorry, Gordon. Okay, my topic is also the college. We're going to see a presentation today from folks at the college. A couple of years ago, some of us attended a presentation before the City of Brookings council members, which in my opinion was a complete whitewash. And I want to put us on guard to look out for another whitewash today. Slide after slide was presented at that presentation that showed a college in decline. All members of the College Board of Education were there. Nobody asked a question. We were in decline then. The college was in decline then. I think it's hit the bottom now. Even before COVID, you could walk down the hall, fire a gun, and not hit a soul in there. You've probably all received these catalogs since then that show the offerings at the Curry campus going down, down, down. Excuse me, to almost nothing in the academic world. I think part of the reason for that is that we do not have reasonable Curry County representation on the board. And I think the principal problem there is that we have at-large voting for the board rather than district by district. I want to point out that in a number of cases throughout the country, at-large voting is being challenged and has been ruled by many courts as a form of discrimination against some group. That group in our case is Curry County with about 22,000 people, I think. versus Coos County, which has, I guess, close to 70,000 people. And so candidates down here, and bless your heart, Maria, for trying, but you have a hard time. You're going to have to do your campaigning, if you're opposed, in Coos County. That's where the votes are. People in Coos County are going to have to be educated as to why they should vote for a candidate from Curry County. If you go by proportionality, we should have 2 members on the Board of Education, and until we do, no progress is going to be made. We have great potential down here, but that particular issue, I think, completely blocks that potential. Thank you for your attention.
Mr. Cady, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Gordon Clay. Did you forgive me, Gordon?
I did. I can't read my own writing, so. For the record, my name is Gordon Clay from Brookings, Oregon. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and May 9th is National Children's Mental Health Awareness Day. Kids are naturally curious and have questions about mental illness. It can be challenging for adults as well as children. Myths, confusion, and misinformation about mental illness cause anxiety, create stereotypes, and promote stigma. During the past 50 years, great advances have been made in the areas of diagnosis and treatment. Parents can help children understand that these are real illnesses that can be treated. Parents can help children understand that these are real, I already said that. In order to talk with a child about mental illness, you must be knowledgeable about and reasonably comfortable with the subject. You should have a basic understanding and answer to questions such as, what are mental illnesses? Who can get them? What causes them? How are diagnoses made? And what treatments are available? Some parents may have to do a little extra homework to be better informed. Because children often can't understand difficult situations on their own, you should pay particular attention if they experience loss of a loved one, divorce or separation of their parents, any major transition, a new home, new school, traumatic life experiences like living through a natural disaster, teasing or bullying, and difficulties in school or with classmates, basically ACEs. Parents should be aware of their child's needs, concerns, knowledge, and experiences with mental illness. When talking about mental illness, parents should communicate in a straightforward manner, communicate at a level that is appropriate to a child's age and development level, have the discussion when the child feels safe and comfortable, watch their child's reaction during the discussion, slow down or back up if the child becomes confused or looks upset, listen openly and let your child tell you about his or her feelings and worries. Considering these points will help your child be more relaxed and understand more of the conversation. If you think your child is in danger of harming themselves or others, seek immediate assistance. Teach your children the crisis text line and text SOS to 741-741, since they probably prefer to text about emotional issues and crisis than talk about them. Also, left out of the proclamation was I want to inform people that they can get these brochures and these crisis cards that tell about how to notice people in trouble and then how to act on it at 112 locations in Curry County. You can find that list at zeroattempts.org/curry.html.
Gordon, thank you. Your great word. Superintendent Wilson.
Good morning, board and public. I'm here also to speak on behalf of the support of that proclamation from a school's perspective. Mental health, which encompasses social, emotional, cognitive, and behavioral well-being, is central to building a school culture and climate where all students and all who serve thrive. When support and care are requested, necessary services and supports must be readily available and offered free of stigma or consequence. Relationship building and clear, compassionate communication are the heart of our efforts. I'd like to leave with the board an example of a diagram about mental health services provided by the Oregon Department of Education.
Thank you.
And with it, highlight just a couple of the key areas that we in the school district are currently working on. One is in the area of traumatic stress. It's important to recognize that traumatic events like our current pandemic, natural disasters, accidents or deaths, and intense chronic stressors such as poverty, illness, and family dysfunction have impacts on all staff and families. Although most students and adults have experienced trauma, although most students and adults have experienced or are currently facing challenges of adversity, not everyone will be traumatized. However, schools need to be able to address these signs and symptoms of trauma. Secondly, elevating the student voice. A sense of powerlessness, hopelessness, and invisibility are among the greatest contributors to stress and poor mental health. In many cases, healing is possible when students and adults are provided with meaningful opportunities to be seen, heard, and appreciated. The importance of respecting student voice and choice, engaging students in meaningful committees and decision-making bodies, as well as honoring and acting on their input, cannot be underestimated. In conclusion, as we come close to concluding this historic school year, we must be prepared for the possible long-term effects of the pandemic's impact on education. To begin to address connectivity issues, the state legislature last week passed a $275 million bill to fund summer learning programs for students in pre-K through 12. We are quickly planning a series of camps and special interest classes for students to take, not only for the knowledge learned, but also for the emotional connection to peers and school staff. This is our beginning stage of filling the gap. Thank you.
Mr. Wilson, would you mind coming up here for just a minute? Gordon Clay? Curry County's going to miss you. Central Curry students are going to miss you. And Full Beach is certainly going to miss you. Hate to see you go. This is a presentation for Suicide Awareness Prevention Committee. Gordon.
Thank you very much. It's been an honor and pleasure to serve our community. I'm look forward to enjoying retirement after 40 years.
40 years.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for your presentation. Thank you, Gordon. Okay, we have Connie Hunter. Public comment, please.
I'm Connie Hunter, and I'm a proud citizen of Curry County, and I get to work with these wonderful people. You know, there are many days I wake up and I say, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And one of the things that I've learned by participating on the Suicide Awareness and Prevention Council is that those messages hold true. And one of the things that we put together, as you know, are 2 upcoming QPR suicide prevention trainings. Gordon and I have both taken those trainings already, but they're coming up on May 7th and May 14th. But the cool thing is that we're going to be recording that QPR training. And one of the things that we've had trouble figuring out how we can reach our veterans who don't have computers with good information. And I thought, I wonder, and I haven't brought it to our council because our meeting was a work meeting on our own last time. So just bringing it up, is there a way we can get that QPR recording, if it's quality good enough, to run on Civic TV on Curry County PEG channel? So that's one way that we can get that suicide prevention training into homes of veterans, family members, and allies who don't have technology or aren't willing to, or don't have the time on the days that these QPR trainings happen. Now, a third thing that we came up with.
Connie?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna interrupt you. We're up against a staff break here, and then we have the Southwest Oregon Community College administration ready to go. Would you, we have one other public comment, maybe 2. I'd like to delay that till after the presentation. Would you be able to remain in the hearing room and after?
Until about what time, Mr. Hunter? Professor Hunter? I have to leave by 12:50.
We'll be fine. We
okay,
will be
yes,
fine.
sir, no problem.
So we'll have our presentation now, and then we'll have a break for staff, and then we'll get you right back immediately after.
Right, and I was just up in Coos Bay yesterday for the Coos Curry Housing Authority meeting. It was a nice trip up and back. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for being patient and understanding there. President Scott, Dean Bunn, wonderful to have you here. Do we have a connection so that you have a PowerPoint, I believe, and we're just very glad to have you here, and your willingness to talk about your college progression forward and post-COVID era that we're all concerned about. So I'm going to turn the meeting over to you, if I may, please.
All right. Thank you very much, commissioners. Pleased to be here. A number of my colleagues are also here with me to present and answer any questions that you might have. So just a quick COVID update to kind of start. The college, just like the rest of the country and world, has been dealing with COVID-19 since March 23rd, when the governor issued her executive order. The college campuses have been closed to the public. We were instructed to do remote learning if it was possible, which we were able to do for most things last spring of 2020. We went from what we normally teach by distance of about 100 classes to 600 remote opportunities for students in the district, and I'm really proud of the faculty. They did all that in about 2 weeks' time. We were forced, however, to cancel all of our community education classes and any class where the instructors weren't prepared to move their content into a remote environment. We projected that by the end of spring term 2020, we had lost about $1 million in revenue. Moving forward, during the last year, we are still under the governor's executive order, limiting what we can do, limiting access to the public on our campuses. Curry has been able to, the campus in Curry has been able to essentially do face-to-face for the entire year because of smaller class sizes. The county, Curry County, has been in a lower county extreme for most of the time until recently. we're kind of in an interesting position where we fall under the governor's executive order, the Higher Education Coordinating Commission, the OHA, and then on a few things we followed county guidance. So it's been a lot to maneuver, but we're figuring it out. We project that by the end of spring term of this year, we will have lost about $3.8 million in revenue. We are planning fall. First of all, we're planning summer of 2021 coming up that students will be registering for starting next week to have free tuition and fees. We're trying to find students that have been lost out there, who've been in high school trying to complete their education through distance, and we know that they're looking for face-to-face opportunities. We're also looking to bring in the adults that have been displaced by COVID-19 and are ready to pursue higher education opportunities. And our plan right now is for fall of 21 to be all face-to-face, and then we will adjust as the requirements change. Just a little bit about the history on Saturday. The college actually turned 60 years old. The voters in Western Lane County, Western Douglas County, Coos, and Northern Curry voted on May 1st of 1961 to create the Community College District, which is a college district. It's not a special district. It's part of the education, how all of education is funded. And specifically in Curry, the campus and our history there, next slide there, Doug, is began in 1975 when the citizens wanted training there, so we contracted with the Curry Educational Service District for trainings. And in the late 1980s, the Curry citizens actually attempted to create their own community college in Curry County, but it failed, and the state turned down that attempt. And persistent Curry County residents didn't give up, and in 1995 they took advantage of the Measure 5 ballot measure that passed in 1990 and realized that they could join the Southwestern Oregon District and not have their taxes increased because of the $5 per thousand limitation that is assessed to education since Measure 5 passed in 1990. And we opened this building, this picture of the slide there. Hopefully a lot of you have been up to the campus in Brookings. We opened that in 2012. And I'm going to let Dr. Alan McGeehan, Vice President of Instruction, talk a little bit, and Doug talk a little bit about who the students are, how well they do, and then we're going to end specifically about what is going on in Curry County and how we're going to be moving forward.
Great, thank you, Dr. Scott. Thank you, Commissioners, for having us here today. So I want to share a little bit about who SWOC students are, and on the slide here you may see a familiar face. This is actually Kara Daly, who is a Brookings resident. And I wanted to just let you know a little bit about her story because it so exemplifies our student population as a whole. So Kara worked full-time and part-time as she was raising and homeschooling her children. Did not leave her a lot of time to pursue her own education, but many of her jobs were in education. She was very committed to the importance of education for both her own children and supporting other kids. And so when her children were grown, she connected with an advisor at the Curry campus and started working on her associate's degree. And she realized very early on that elementary education is her passion. So fortunately, we have a very good partnership with Southern Oregon University in elementary ed. And so Kara is on track to get her bachelor's degree. So she's gone from wanting to pursue education to pursuing education to going on to get her bachelor's degree in elementary ed with the hope that she can come back into Brookings and teach. And we wouldn't be able to do that partnership without online and face-to-face offerings, both on Brookings campus and the Coos Bay campuses. So that's a story there of a student who has absolutely been incredibly successful. Her daughter is now also enrolled at Southwestern Oregon on her degree at the same time. And about 60% of our students are working adults, so we do serve a population that is non-traditional, older, coming back for different kinds of trainings and their education. In addition to that, we serve students who are also community members engaged in community education, workforce training, and those who seek business advising services through the Small Business Development Center. And pre-COVID, we were working on a small business management cohort with Curry Health Network that we had to put on pause for a little bit, but we will be returning to as soon as we can this summer as we move back to work face-to-face. And I do want to say our students do incredibly well. We are number one in the state of Oregon for degree completion and time to completion, which is a major accomplishment. Our highest success in terms of degree completion and time to completion is in our Hispanic and veteran student populations. We were recognized by the Aspen Institute last year as one of the top 150 community colleges in the country, and we were the only college in Oregon to have that honor from Aspen in that cycle. Our accreditation was affirmed last year with a commendation regarding our smooth transition to remote learning during the start of the COVID pandemic. As Dr. Scott said, we went from 100 classes online to over 600 in about 2 weeks, and we did so seamlessly so that we could make sure we were providing the best possible supports to our students throughout a time of great uncertainty. In addition to that, we support our regional economy, both through investing in our workforce, our employees, and through the contributions our graduates make to the state overall. So at this point, I'd actually like to turn it over to Joni Miller, who's our nursing program director, to talk about the successes of the SWAC nursing program. Joni?
I need my buttons here. Thank you guys. So like Allie said, I'm Joni Miller. I'm the director of nursing up here in Coos Bay and in Curry. And so I am standing in for Judith Dornbach this morning, who is teaching our lovely first-year students their Pharmacology 2 class. We desperately needed her to teach this morning, so that's what she's doing. I want to talk about the links between the Coos and Curry campuses and how we work corporately together, especially in the nursing program. So in the 18-19 school year, we had 5 students down in Curry. In 19-20, we bumped that up to 11, and this year we have 12 students down in the Curry area. The cohort went from 24 in 18-19 to in 19-20 we went to 31, and this year we will graduate 43 students, which is pretty darn amazing in nursing. We're providing those nurses for you. Curry General has been gracious with working with us. Megan Weiss there down at Curry Health Network has been phenomenal to work with. She's the CNO and has made preceptorships available within the network for our integrated practicum students that are out there right now functioning. And then they are hiring our nurses. They hired 2 last year from our group, and also we have 1 graduate that's actually working as a preceptor down there for us now. So kudos to Curry Health Network. We have a lead lab faculty up here in Coos that kind of orchestrates all of the labs for all of the program, and that includes orchestrating the labs down in Curry. So that's kind of how that works together. She gets everything online and sends the information down to the clinical faculty that are going to be doing labs down in Curry. And also, we have the same setup with our clinical lead up here in Coos, kind of orchestrating how the first year, what we're expecting out of first year students at the facilities, and orchestrates that with the clinical faculty that's at the hospital down in Curry. And then of course we have Judith Dornbach is phenomenal, and she is instrumental in our program as well. She is the second year faculty lead, and she is over the second year faculty in both Coos and Curry campuses, and kind of orchestrates that piece of the program for me. Yeah, and if you have any questions, I'm here and available.
We probably should try and conclude within about 10 minutes, including questions. Good job, thank you. Who's next? I see Dean Bunn has his microphone unmuted. Welcome.
Yeah, I took it off.
I'd like to thank Joni. She's just been marvelous in expanding the nature of our programs, both in Coos Bay and in Curry, and finding marvelous ways of making the most out of the clinical opportunities that we have. You know, she didn't mention Umpqua Hall, which I know that the commissioners are aware that a recent completion of Umpqua Hall is going to be the facility where our healthcare professionals are in. It's a marvelous facility. Those who come out and take a tour on the Curry campus, I like to show off our healthcare facilities, the beds and the mannequins, and the Curry Health Network has been really, or it was actually Curry Health Foundation has bought us some things that are nice to make sure that we have the same clinical opportunities here as that we match up with the hospital, and we're really happy with that. And if that new facility really helps our program in that students are in state-of-the-art facilities and they work interactively, as Joni was saying. Judy is teaching all of the students, those in Coos Bay and in Curry today, and other days the students are taught from up there and our students listen in. So it's really goes well. Now, in the time we have remaining, since kind of the last time that we were before the board, I just want to point out some of our accomplishments. In terms of workforce development, it was one of the things that we talked about. You should know that we've been working with our community. Gold Beach Lumber, down at Todd Rigby and I got together. He told me that he had a little bit of a need for his workers to know Excel. It's a common thing. Businesses need their employees to be able to work with Excel. We put together a customized training. It was about, I think we did 5 or 6 weeks. It was really well received. They learned how to put it onto the Excel sheets were on their little handheld devices, and we linked it up with their cost sheet database, and it makes their sales team a lot more efficient. So it's a really good use. Ali already mentioned that the Small Business Development Center is doing the executive leadership training with Curry Health Network, and we've been pleased to be able to share that experience with them, and John Bacon is happy to be able to lead that. If you've been down to the ports, you've probably seen our flyers, the Columbia Pacific Maritime. We have a partnership, a new partnership with them. It's a great place where people can up their training certification and, frankly, make more money. It's a great organization, and they provide a great service, and we're happy to be partnering with them. In terms of other activities on campus, I think maybe you're familiar with SWAC and Beyond, which is something we started in October of 2019. Kelly Pinchak gave a presentation for us on the Rogue River that was fairly well attended. Our speakers, we ran through into about the end of March. Before we kind of shut down, we've averaged 22 people in attendance. Some of the presentations are serious and others are just kind of fun. The best attended were Emergency Preparedness Now. We had almost 50 people to that presentation. Sasquatch had over 50, so a little bit on the, well, I don't know. Sasquatch people are serious about Sasquatch. And then the Beach Booty 101, which is really just treasure hunting. We also have done a monthly series. We averaged about 17 people at each of those events, and we averaged about 25 at the potlucks that we had where we emphasized traveling. And those were well attended and I think well worth our time. We have been closed to the general public. However, we have been offering, I get calls occasionally say, well, we know you're not having any classes. Well, we are. We have art, math, writing, philosophy, biology. We'd like to offer a few more, but those are the ones that we could get the enrollment for. We don't have the face-to-face community education classes. And all of our GED students have been coming to us. We've been connecting them with Coos Bay. They've got a very good program in Coos Bay. Really leads the state in terms of how they've transitioned and serve the students, and we have a couple that are succeeding up there. We're very pleased with that. In addition to providing tutoring for the local high schools during this time of need. You should know that we have, and just in terms of headcount, we have 92 Curry residents that are taking classes in a full-time role this year. That's about the same as last year. So we haven't seen as much of a drop off as we feared that we would. Going forward, we do have a plan to go to face-to-face classes with all of the areas that I just mentioned: biology, computer science, social work, psychology. We also have a new faculty member that will be joining the college. He is a Navy veteran, and he is coming to us from San Diego, where he does cybersecurity. So he's very well versed, and I'm very excited about getting him into the community to do cybersecurity audits.
Thank you,
We'll
Dean.
return to a limited number of face-to-face community education classes in the fall. We have to be very careful there that we're in compliance with the OSHA standards. Free tuition has already been mentioned, and we plan to return to some SWAC and Beyond events as well, including Al Collinet and his annual trek to Vulcan Lake, which is coming up here in just a few weeks. So I think with that, we'll take some questions.
Thank you. Let's start with Commissioner Herzog.
I don't have any questions at this time.
I have one.
You have none?
I have one.
Okay. You're welcome to go.
If you could please, I know last we spoke, you had mentioned that you were going to be looking at expanding or starting a vocational program at the college where, you know, once you start having students come back, you could actually do it over the internet now, having a textbook learning session during the daytime or during the week, and then having those same students go and do the vocational part of that, and partnering with some of our local businesses for, you know, local jobs that are going to be jobs that people can actually raise families on here locally, like logging, like, well, you know, learning fabrication, learning how to weld, learning how to, you know, do a lot of the professional services here that this county, the kids grew up doing with their parents. I can imagine partnering with a company like Freeman Marine and having a textbook learning class in the daytime or for a week or so about learning how to TIG weld, and then partnering with Freeman Marine and having those students go down there and spend time, or finding a place like my ranch has that has welders at it, and those people are willing to actually do the vocational part, the actual welding, to get, you know, to move forward to get certified. I've talked to some people in the county that would love to be involved in that, and perhaps the college could look at starting those partnerships as well, because those are living wage jobs for people in our county that have grown up here, and those are jobs that are going to fall short here very soon because a lot of the kids now are leaving for academics because we don't offer any of that here. That's all I had. Thank you.
Who wants to take that question? Comment?
Well, let me start with the welding, and we have been working with the people at with the Brookings Harbor High School, and we will be offering some welding classes beginning with. We're hoping this summer we're actually going to offer a welding class, so we are moving in that direction. So far, so addressing some of the others are a little bit more challenging, as you know. You know, finding a welding instructor. The Brookings Harbor High School, you may know, their welding instructor went out for illness, and Deanne Bertek struggled like crazy to find an instructor. So, Mr. Pash, we'd be happy to hear from your instructors that are willing to help us with that.
I would be willing to do that, as well as some commercial fishing people, some loggers, all those kind of organizations that are living wage jobs for this county. I would love to sit with your organization and talk about those kind of things, because those are the partnerships we need to form in this county.
So, President Scott and Dean Bunn, I just have one quick comment and somewhat of a related question, how you might be able to help. You know, I first looked at running for commissioner 5 years ago. One of the things I heard was that Coos County often leaves out Curry County or even Josephine County. And since I've been a commissioner, I really have experienced the opposite. Coos County's been incredible to work with. We did have one public comment today that basically Curry County doesn't have enough representation on the SWAC board. I'm not asking for an agreement or disagreement on that, but to the extent we might have an opportunity to influence the board from a Curry County perspective, I don't know if that would probably be a matter of changing the bylaws, but something we should look at in the future so that we can assure the citizens that, you know, I'm not suggesting I have an issue or the board has an issue, just with a perception out there that we may not have adequate representation. It's something I think we could work together on in the future. Do either one of you want to take that question or hopefully contribute something there?
Yeah, we had most recently in the election coming up 2 open board positions, one of which 2 people from Curry chose to run against each other. So there was an opportunity for possibility to get 2 people from Curry on the board, and for whatever reason they chose to run against each other. The college has worked very hard over the years, and there's always been at least one person on the board from Curry. A few years ago, I looked into what zoning would look like, and I looked into it again, but at that time they said it was based on population, and the zone would run all the way up. It would incorporate all of Curry all the way up to Bandon at that time. So in my mind, I thought that that wouldn't guarantee that we'd get somebody from Curry if it was zoned that way. So I'd be happy to look at it again. You know, we work really hard to have Curry representation, and we will continue to.
Well, we have a fourth of the population. Wondering though if we can jump the gun a little bit and have a third of the representation. We'll just keep our fingers crossed. We'd love to work with you on that. And to the extent it is an issue with some citizens here, it's something over time I think we could overcome and affect change. Thank you very much. Anything else, board?
Not for me.
Okay. Who's the kid on the front row here? That is the cutest kid I've ever seen. With a soccer ball. I can't thank you all enough. We're going to go to break here real quick, and let's keep working together. Much appreciated. I need everybody back here at 10:40. Let's see, 10:45 if we can. It's only going to be a short 10 minutes, maybe 10:47. Thank you all. We're in recess.
There's something about having land and sea. Never having to choose between digging in or looking out. Here, you can go where the spirit or the wind moves you. To the tops of the trees, along secluded beaches, or into more wild and scenic rivers than anywhere else in the western United States. We're the closest place to the sunset, while still keeping your feet dry, and a destination where anyone can begin. We share more than we keep, so you can see more than you imagined. This is a place you have to touch, hold, and feel to believe. The entire shoreline of the West Coast's best coast is open to you, and playgrounds made of forests are waiting for you. Escape to Curry County and don't leave anything out.
If yours is the next big idea, and you need the right place to fine-tune it, build it, launch it, if you're only your best when you can play more than you work, if inspiration comes from the outside, you belong in Curry County. The westernmost point of the land you love, and the edge between familiar and uncharted. Break the pattern. Be where the airports are as close as the beaches, and industry and recreation never cease to amaze. Dock, dive, and dine in a single day, and never lose your connection. This is the threshold of the West. Live where you can do you, and do it well, at the farthest point from ordinary. Curry County, living on the edge.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Wildfire, as everyone knows, has emerged as one of the big major issues affecting Oregon and, for that matter, all western states. A real actionable response that's including how do we fight fire, actively managing our forests so that we don't have the fuels out there, and how are we going to protect communities from smoke exposures. The council is really set up to have a comprehensive strategy that's based on action and based on protecting our communities.
The primary focus we as a board have come through with is that in researching the policies for fire management, yes, prescribed fire has its place on the landscape, but not during fire season. We, as a county, passed a proclamation that says once the state fire marshal declares fire season, it'll be nothing but full suppression, and recently took a resolution to the National Association of Counties, essentially says that they support coordination between agencies and local governments for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens regarding fire. Prescribed fire, fire season, anything that affects our citizens.
This is Lily Morgan from Josephine County, and we are at the Rogue Leadership Forum today, looking at the best possible partnerships that we can come up with to fight the fire issues and the smoke issues that we're facing in Southwest Oregon. So looking forward to coming up with solutions and the partnerships to get the job done so we don't face what we have the last few years with catastrophic fires and smoke that invades our communities for months to come. So this is a good opportunity, and we hope to be successful in the outcome.
Seeing so many people come together has really been exciting for me because there's a lot of expertise, there's a lot of resources, and as we attempt to do a shared stewardship approach to keeping people safe, it's really important that we get together. So my name is Merv George Jr., and I'm the Forest Supervisor for the Rogue River Siskiyou National Forest. The first things is making sure to get fires out if they're threatening life and property. The second thing that I'm going to focus in on is when it's safe to do so, to put some fire on the landscape when it's cooler and not during fire season, to reduce these same fuels that are giving us so much fits during the fire season.
Bob Horton, I'm the Fire Chief of Jackson County Fire District 3 in Southern Oregon. The challenges that are facing us in terms of the mega fires and the wildfires that we've been experiencing out in this valley, particularly in the last couple of years, but across the state and across the region, incredibly concerning to us in the fire community, those in our communities in general, our constituents and our patrons are extremely concerned, as they ought to be. And really the takeaway from the work that's being done now is this is an extraordinary collaboration of dozens on dozens of interested stakeholder groups who are coming together with a common purpose. It's really an inspiring showing of humanity to not only be able to provide for a greater quality of life for our people, but to be strong stewards of our land, so that our future for us and generations to come is incredibly bright.
Very pressing issue. It's bearing down on us. Fire season is approaching, and I am really interested in preventing my home and other homes in my community from being impacted by wildfire, specifically from being burnt down. That's my main reason for being involved.
Quite a collaboration of folks. We're here looking for practical solutions to help us unravel some of the issues surrounding wildfires today here in the state of Oregon. And my focus really is on planning for large wildfire events in advance of their occurrence. That way, when they do occur, we can respond more appropriately to those situations.
Well, I just think it's grand if all of the people all over the state have come together today to be concerned about water. It just warms my heart, because I know that they really will leave here today feeling more impressed about the water, because I have told them that we're all born in water. We cannot live without it. It's our job to take care of it, stop the garbage in the rivers and streams and oceans, because there's life in that water, and it's our job to keep it clean for them. Because we cannot live on this planet without the animal kingdom. I was in Ohio at the Ohio River with Dr. Emoto, the Japanese scientist who had proven water could heal. He and I stood on the riverbank and blessed the Ohio River that they had us come to do. And I prayed that God still works. You too will remember your prayers, because they work. It has nothing to do with religion or church.
th, 2021. Time is 10:45. We have more public comment. Connie Hunter, would you come up to the podium, please?
And this is the public comment regarding the college, is that correct?
You're welcome to take your mask off if it helps. You're a little
Okay,
faint
thank you.
on
And
the
I've
volume.
actually had my vaccines and my second one, so I do have a little leftover COVID fog brain. And Commissioner Pash was able to see me stop in mid-sentence and couldn't remember what QPR stood for. I couldn't remember what the P was at the city council meeting. So if I have one of those special moments, you'll understand what it is. But with regards to the college district, one of the things that I really want to mention is that whenever a veteran uses his or her post 9/11 GI educational benefits, $80,000 positive economic impact goes back into a local community. And one of the things that is still kind of up in the air with our veterans and their post 9/11 GI educational benefits is how much of those benefits can be used for online courses. Now, I know they might be looking at those changes, but if veterans aren't here to attend classes, they're up in Coos County because they do have more services there and they do have student housing. And so I just have a few questions. I couldn't do the math real quick when they said Curry County has been a part of the college district. And how many years now? Is it since 70?
I heard 95.
75? That's what I thought. And so what my question is, we know that right now $1.3 million a year does not get any Curry County return on our tax dollars investment. It's about $850,000 stays here, and well over $1 million actually goes out of Curry County to the college district. So I'm just curious how many years that $1 million or more has actually been taken out of Curry County. And one of the things that you have to understand is the board policy is you can request financial statements for Curry County specifically, but if the board doesn't approve us having that information, we won't get it. That's what an imbalance of power creates. It creates blinders, so we can't really see what's going on, and we can't really see how our money's being used. You know, unless it's disclosed, like at the last presentation that they had at the campus when they did their annual meeting, and Chris was promised 20 minutes and cut out of the agenda altogether, Commissioner Pash. Basically, they disclosed that it was $400,000 for the nursing school budget. And there were, I don't know, George, can you help me? 4 or 5 nursing students. And so, you know, there's some concerns about why that's happening, and we know that most of the nursing students don't have there's not enough going on at Curry campus for them to complete their nursing degree actually here. They end up being a pipeline to Coos County, or they go down to Del Norte County to finish their degree without a lot of hassle. And so there are a lot more complications and a lot more things to really take a deeper look at, and we've not been able to because we can't get those financials. Thank you.
Thank you. Skip Hunter.
Finally, 2 that have the same last name that it's true.
I'd like you to know that I had the brain fog long before COVID.
That must be why we get along so well, Skip.
First of all, I'd like to say that Professor George Cady neglected to mention that he was a math instructor there for several years. Okay, I myself have taught at Curry for 10 years, also at College of the Redwoods during that same 10 years, and 36 years before that in California community colleges. So I will use that as my background. I wish that they were still here, because the question I really wanted to address was to them, but I'll address it to you and perhaps it'll get to them. Currently, Curry County pays 38.8% of all the taxes collected for SWAC. That's almost 40%, and we have no representation on the board. I guess the question I would have asked them was, would they consider changing the at-large voting policy for board members' elections to what's called the ward process, by ward, which the laws require that the number of seats on the board would be determined proportionately by population. So you'd be guaranteed, you know, for 40% of the taxes that are collected, we should have 2 and maybe 3 seats to get representation. Now, I could go on and on and on. We have a document we put together that some of you have heard about. There's almost 90 pages of concern from faculty members and people staff who've worked there over the years. They make a nice little presentation. I give them credit for that, but they don't give details, and I don't want to give you a bunch of details, so I just chose one that popped into my mind while I was sitting there. For years, probably from year 5 on, I kept asking our dean why we couldn't lock our classroom doors. With active shooter situations happening all over America at colleges and other public places, we couldn't close the classroom door and lock it from the inside. It would be unlocked at the beginning of class by them with their key, and you couldn't lock it. And it just didn't make sense to me. In other community colleges where I worked in California, security was very, very important. They have no security on the campus whatsoever. If you go to the main campus, they have 12 security trucks. They have a complete staff to take care of security. We had no security here. We're 5 miles from town. We're in a gun community. It's possible that somebody might be upset with a spouse or a girlfriend or a boyfriend or something and come out and have an active shooter situation. You can't use a cell phone inside the building. To use a cell phone, you have to go outside into the parking lot to use it, which would make you a nice target. Why can't you do it? Because they didn't put it into the building when they built the building. Okay, so I asked to get door locks. No. They kept saying, we can't afford it. We can't afford it. Then Umpqua happened. And I went back into the dean. I said, we've got to get locks on these doors. We can't afford it for 2 more years. Then eventually, they did put locks on it. But did they buy new locks? No. We're only talking about 5 classrooms. They couldn't afford 5 locks for doors? No. They took the door locks off of the 2nd floor that weren't classrooms and put it on, which they could have done that 7 years before. But we didn't have the money. Well, 38.8% tells me that they should be able to at least afford door locks for the safety and the security of the people there. And I'll tell you what, if there had been an active shooter situation, SWAC wouldn't even exist. They would have been sued out of complete operation by their negligence. And that's just one small example. You don't hear those things when they're talking about this and that and this and that. And the final thing I was going to say is, as we've seen the students dwindle, when I first started teaching there, I had classes of 18, 16, 18, 15. The last quarter I taught there before I quit, 2 students. Now you might say, hey, he's a crappy teacher. I've got a whole bunch of awards I can show you and pat myself on the back for 47 years of working. I know what I'm doing. But I can't teach them if they don't come. They never advertise, no radio advertising. Dean, why don't we do this? We can't afford it. I volunteered 4 or 5 times to put together other faculty members and go and visit the high schools. Yeah, that's a good idea. Never asked us to do it. So believe me, the redheaded stepchild applies to the way we've been treated. And they don't even think about us. We're a last minute, I mentioned all the vehicles. Our dean, I don't know if they've changed then, I'm talking about when I worked there, had a car that was 12 years old that they gave him to commute back and forth for meetings. When you go up there, they have a $150,000 bus up there. They've got all of these vehicles. You need to see the campus. And if you can't have to take the time to go do it, bring up their website. It shows you aerial views of the campus and their lake and all their sports fields and their culinary school and their dorms and all the things that build a program where you build students. In fact, they recruit our students. They have flyers all the time telling them what's going up in Coos Bay posted at our campus, but there's nothing going on at Curry. Sorry, I wasn't going to get that upset. It's a smoke screen, and how do you stop it? The best way to stop it is get representation on the board so there's somebody saying, well, what are we doing for Curry? We have nothing there, no clubs for students, nothing. And we don't, I can promise you, I challenge any of you to walk on the campus at any day. Go in unannounced and walk through. If you use the word, it'll echo. Because there's nobody there. Okay, you didn't get it. Here's the deal. I was told by the dean. I'm just as verbal with them. I'm not saying anything to you that I didn't say to them. And I said this to the dean. We need face-to-face contact. Our students in this community, they respond to teachers who give them time and attention. You're not going to get this online. And he told me, we're going to a distance learning education. We're going to be a distance hub for the main campus. Now, I don't think that's what the 38.8% wanted to buy when they said they wanted to have a college in their district. The idea was originally that students could come here and take a complete AA program without having to leave. And now you couldn't get an AA program without either taking online classes or driving up to Coos Bay. And as far as online classes go, You can take an online class from anywhere. You can take it from Stanford. You can take it from University of Colorado, anywhere. And you wouldn't have to give up 38.8% of your county's money. You're not getting what you pay for. Thanks.
Thank you, Skip. So, board, last chance to comment or ask questions on Southwest Oregon Community College and the Curry issues, impact?
Just one brief comment, as Skip knows. We looked into this last year with Council Huddle, and I've briefly spoken to Council Pope about this. Once he gets a little more comfortable here, I would like to look at going to higher learning, because it's not a special district, it's a college district, and hopefully getting SWAC to the table and getting some answers. And if we don't, then we go back to the citizens of the school, of the college district, and we ask them what they want to do. But we have to go through the process, from what I understand, through higher learning. But I will be still pursuing that this year with board approval.
None of my comments were meant in any way derogatorily to this body. Thank you.
Well, guys, that's why, and I know you are pretty familiar too, so all three of us have got some interest and some anxious feelings to correct this and to contribute where we can. That's why I put this meeting together today. And you know, the 38% is a pretty strong figure, and so I did sense though that they're open to looking at the Curry County representation on that board and pulling the two counties together, the two districts together, and no time like now to make that happen and do everything we can. Anything else, board?
No.
Okay, next on the agenda is the formation of the South Coast Parks and Recreation District.
We have the consent agenda, sir.
Oh, we do have the consent agenda. Excuse me.
Move approval.
As amended.
As amended.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, we'll just go that route real quick here.
Yes.
Yes? Yes. Okay, so the consent agenda, the minutes for the 6A, January 13th, 2021 meeting. 6D now, approved county credit card for Anthony Pope. 6E, approved county credit card for Miranda Plaguey, economic development assistant. 6F, appoint Commissioner Pash to the Board of Property Tax Appeals. Congratulations. 6G, transfer of an employee, Alicia Wibking Cron. And 6H, appoint member to Tourism Promotion Committee. Anything we need to add to that, board?
Well, that highlighted one.
B and C, they got moved to the very end of action items, correct?
Well, the amendment to the ODOT transportation grant agreement.
Oh, I left that out. I'm sorry. That
Sorry.
was part of the amended agenda.
Yep.
6I, thank you. Amendment number 1 to ODOT, Oregon Department of Transportation Grant Agreement number 34195.
And for the record, that was I.
What did I say, 1?
Yep.
6-1?
It's all right.
I need heavier glasses. Okay, thank you, board. So that's passed. Okay, so now we're going to formation of South Coast Parks and Recreation District. Brookings City Parks Director Trost, welcome.
Thank you. Commissioners, Dr. Layton's also here. So we are present for any questions. We hope that we've gotten a lot of those answered ahead of time with Mr. Pope, and hope to see a favorable decision today.
Dr. Layton, thank you for being here today. So sorry to have you a little bit delayed there, or a lot delayed. Council Pope, do you have a report that you'd like to offer the board and the public?
Sure, yeah. As everybody knows, in the last meeting, I asked for some additional time to kind of look into this. The formation of the special park districts it's a complicated process and time consuming. I had the opportunity last week to meet with the county clerk and the county assessor and their staff. We were able to put together kind of an outline of what the process would be, and also some concerns or in ways we can overcome those concerns. And of course, I forward those to you guys in a memo. And so I think, hopefully we're giving you guys the information you need to, understand the process and make a decision.
Commissioner Herzog or Director Rickert? Did I see your pen wave there?
Well, I do have something. I read the memo that Council Pope prepared, and there's one big thing that, there's one main thing that concerns me about it. He said that after the board approves the order to initiate, the county then takes complete charge of the process of moving the proposed district forward. This includes all noticing, public hearings, preparing ballot measures, and any other work required by statute. This is quite complex and detailed. And so by the board voting to move forward with this, that burden is being placed on the county, and I guess that's my concern right there is the county having that burden, and who's going to make sure everything gets done when it needs to get done, how it needs to get done.
Thank you. Director Trost, do you have something to add to that? Possibly?
No, initially it was about, making sure that the costs were covered. We assured that was going to be the case. The processes of, conducting the public hearing and things of that nature, our task force would be more than willing to assist with. We've gotten way too far to the finish line to just blindly hand it off and expect it to, not stay involved. And so, I would say that we would be there to assist in any measure, in any way we can, to ensure that the county doesn't have to shoulder all that on its own.
Well, with the changes, go ahead.
Well, I'm in complete support. I would, I know that the Parks District will definitely do their part in supporting us, and they've offered to put in escrow or cover the cost of an election if it doesn't pass. They've met those three criteria that Council Pope has recommended. Anthony and I and Jay met on the speakerphone earlier this week and talked about that, and I understand Brad's concern, but as a commissioner, I would, if there's anything that needs to be done at the county, I would take that responsibility personally and do that. But I know that the support from the Brookings folks would be there. So,
thank you, Commissioner Herzog.
I hate to throw water on the fire, but I'm just wondering if we aren't a little bit premature with some of this, in that we don't have a tax rate, and has all that been figured out that I didn't see? That's evidently something that I didn't get to see. So all that's been done then.
Yeah.
How about
Go
a
ahead and
sunset
explain
clause?
The process for where we did the budget and what that meant, if you can.
Right. Yeah. So all of the outlining documents for the proposed district has been completed. We have our mission statement, our strategic plans, our economic statement, our proposed first and third year tax rates, our permanent tax rate. That's all been outlined in our economic.
Okay, I saw the strategic
feasibility
plan,
statement. Yeah.
But I must have missed the tax rate.
The permanent tax rate, doesn't get declared in that, so that's part of the ballot measure. So I think that's been shared informally, but that's not a part of the permanent document for the purpose of that document. For the purposes of formation, the economic feasibility statement was what was necessary.
Okay. Any further movement on a sunset clause?
No, so the task force did look at the sunset clause. The concern that the task force had was that and our proposal is to create this district that is going to go on to lead to profound impact in our community. And with our council and our understanding, we would need to create a situation in which the district would dissolve at some set number of years in the future. I understood your comment from the last meeting with the suggestion that we could create a petition prior to the dissolution happening. I don't know, we didn't address that specifically with our attorney. The concern that I would have is that you can't create two Parks and Rec districts that are existing, so I'm not sure if there's any ability to create a new Parks and Rec district in the anticipation of the old Parks and Rec district ending. But what we looked at was the existing code, which allows the citizens, right? So this is a government, a new government that's being formed by the citizens, and they have to vote to form this Parks and Rec district. And in the same fashion, they can petition and vote to unform this district. So if the district doesn't lead up to the goals that we've outlined, then the citizens can dissolve it almost as easily as they can form it.
And I want you to understand, I'm not, as I've spoken to publicly, I am absolutely for this happening. I think it's a great thing for the county. My problem with it is, without having some sort of a sunset clause, is it's expected to pay for itself, hopefully, or come close to paying for itself with the fees and everything you're going to charge to enter a lot of this. Am I correct?
Well, I think you're having a conversation about the rec center, and we're talking about the formation of the Parks and Rec district. So while the Parks and Rec district creates the foundation to fund a rec center, and the rec center itself has been proposed to be self-sustaining, the funding that we're requesting is for the Parks and Rec district, which independently can offer its own Parks and Rec resources, offer facilities, create programs, and the funding is specifically for that to do its work.
Okay, all I'm saying is down the road, the monies that you receive may be able to substantiate or substantially fund the district by itself. You could direct those funds to fund the district, therefore the district may no longer be needed. And in my experience so far in the county, I have found that most people don't necessarily, if you've got that money coming in every year, it's hard to say no to it. So, to protect the taxpayers, that's just information that I'm hopeful that they know. That's all I have, sir.
So thank you, both commissioners. I wholeheartedly support this. The questions, concerns I've had have been greatly clarified. It's going to be some hard work. That's okay. That's what we're here for. And so if there's any way I can help, not just to put it on someone else's desk, but you offered the task force help, and we need to roll up our sleeves. The hardest job for me this entire 4+ years I've been here is to bring people together and groups together and communities together. And so I see it as a terrific opportunity, and I'm thrilled for the incredible work you guys have done to date. Way to go. Way to go. That's all I have. Commissioner Herzog?
I make a motion to approve the formation of the South Coast Parks and Recreation District.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? Call for the question. Staff Jesuit, please.
Commissioner Pash?
No.
Vice Chair Herzog?
Yes.
Chair Boyce?
Yes.
Motion carried 2-1.
Okay.
Thank you,
guys.
Thanks for hanging in the late part of the morning.
Yes.
I know you got to both get back to work.
Thank you.
Much obliged.
Sure. Thank you.
So the Coos Creek Douglas Business Development, the grant request to the U.S. Department of Commerce and Economic Development Administration. This could have went on the consent agenda, but I'm looking for board approval here. I had a letter that I wrote in rough draft, but I don't know if I probably did not get that submitted to Staff Jesuit, and I don't have it on my documents in this little computer. Anyway, looking for board approval there. The other two counties have approved it, Coos and Douglas County. Basically, the letter says, we don't have any additional funds to make up the 20%. And so this, the Coos Creek Douglas Revolving Loan Fund is a very active program that through the Economic Development Administration loans money to businesses in our 3 county districts. So looking for board approval. So I'll make a motion to.
Can you just, kind of go over a little bit of.
Well, it's right there. CT Business Development Corporation will be submitting a grant request to the U.S. Department of Commerce Economic. You want me to bring this back after lunch and I can give you the letter that we wrote? I also have accessible the Coos and Douglas County letters. So they're pretty good leaders in this program. I'd rather not bring it back, but you've got some good supporting documents in EDA is anticipating that under the American Rescue Plan allocation, their starting rate will be an 80-20, meaning EDA provides 80% of the total project costs, and CCD would need to provide 20%.
You're asking them to waive that 20%, so we're not liable for anything?
That's correct.
I'll second the motion.
Any more discussion? Call for the question.
Commissioner Pash.
Yes.
Vice Chair Herzog.
Yes.
Chair Boyce.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
The Steve Byerlin, Oregon LLC Strong contract extension. I don't know if I need to spend a lot of time on that. I think all of the commissioners are getting periodic updates of his work. I did want him to give a little bit of an update today. We're slowly I shouldn't say we, maybe me a little bit, but he is working on pulling in the Coos County Commissioners, which we've been a little late on, but they are, I'll let him speak to that. When he wasn't, oh, there he is. Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner. Steve Byerlin, Nasika Beach. A lot's been going on in the fisheries world. Some of it's pretty negative. One thing is the Rogue River, basically, because it's the only one that has spring Chinook salmon, has been targeted for listing under the ESA listing. It's being reviewed now, and they're taking comments. National Marine Fisheries Service. We're in the same, we're grouped with the Klamath River, which their spring Chinook run has not done well. And basically, to be listed, you just need to show that there's a significant decline across a good portion of the range, which is, looks like that's what it is, because the run has not been good, and I don't expect it to be good again this year or in the near future. I believe most of our problems stem from federal management of water projects, and so we'll have to see how that goes. Coos County has offered us to use their lobbyist in Washington, D.C. to get things being pushed from Washington, D.C. down. We have an appropriations request in for $26 million to modernize the hatchery. That may take several years to do, but we put it in last year. We're put it in again this year. But we got their attention and they're paying attention, so far. If we do get a listing, I think it makes it much more difficult for denial, or not putting money into the Rogue Basin. Quite a few groups are involved in paying attention. I sent out quite a few emails, probably more than I should, but trying to keep people informed what's going on. The future looks both bleak and bright, so the bright part of it is that I think we're getting noticed. I think we're getting it out there, and Curry County is in the last year and a half is starting to be recognized as a fisheries leader, especially in the Rogue Basin. I'm keeping Josephine County informed. Commissioner Bob Main from Coos County is emailing back and forth 3 or 4 times a week, on different things. We're discussing things and, supporting each other. And so I think we're moving forward and are making a stamp.
So the Coquille River News, not good.
Coquille River is not good. Their STEP program, the ODFW shut it down, and they only had 3 females back last year for their egg take, and they're talking about closing the Coquille for up to 5 years to salmon fishing period. And they're also talking about closing the Siuslaw and the Siletz. Wow. But it's when I say they're talking about it, it's kind of under the table. It's not out front yet. And So we're not seeing the light. It's not seeing the light of day per se.
Have you heard anything from Senator Merkley's office on the $26 million recently?
They're very active, staying involved. And Senator Merkley's going to be doing town halls, and we were told by Merkley's office that there would be the top two subjects. One of those would be the modernization of the hatchery, the $26 million.
Commissioner Herzog?
Thanks for your tireless effort, and keep the emails coming. It's just sad what's happened at Coal Rivers and our runs, and to hear that there's so when I hear the Coquille and those other rivers shutting down, that means just more pressure on the Rogue, and the sad part is it didn't have to be this way. This is neglect, and it's wrong. So anyway,
well said.
And sometimes you got to hit bottom before you can bounce back up. But we've got to get their attention. We've got to get. I mean, they're the big managers. They put most all of the water into the river, control it. And ODFW has been pretty quiet.
Well, if anybody can rear them up, you can. So, Commissioner Pash?
I'm good.
So, I see my wife's going to realize I misspelled one word, expires. So, we're looking for extending a full year. I don't remember, honestly. I'm just drawing a blank. Is that correct?
Last time it was done, it was for a year, yeah.
Well, as Commissioner Herzog said, thanks very much for your great dedication. It's going to make a huge difference long after we're gone. We want to get you paid here, and it seems like we're just a little bit behind. Clerk Crook caught this and brought it to my attention. Much appreciated. So, board looking for a motion to extend the Steve Byerland Oregon Strong LLC contract.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? I'm just going to ask you to come back in a month or so, and we'll do a regular presentation for maybe 15 minutes or so you're not rushed, okay?
Okay. I have a comment that when we first started into this fisheries, getting involved in the fisheries one, we were going to try and bring along the other rogue counties, Jackson and Josephine, and Coos has shown some interest, and I'm sure there's probably a little bit of interest over in Douglas County as well. But it's not up to me to contact them and talk to them, about sharing the cost and being, part of it, and I would hope the commissioners would, think about trying to contact them and bringing them on board,
We have a new board in Jackson County, and they really, it's just a matter of finding the time to get to their offices and spend time with them, and we really need to make that a high priority. Yes.
I feel our coalition's falling apart a little bit because it needs to have the commissioners help pull it together.
When Grants Pass, you have Bearshiger, and he was a Senate Minority Leader, and he's a real outdoor guy. He understands, and so I really think just a matter of get the time to spend with him. And then Dave Dotter in Jackson County, he worked for Dennis Richardson for several years at the Capitol. Just a super individual. So yeah, thank you, Steve.
Okay, thank you.
Need a roll call.
You ready to staff Jesuit?
Commissioner Pash?
Aye.
Vice Chair Herzog?
Yes.
Chair Boyce?
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
So here, excuse me.
Well, I was going to wait for a minute, but item 6 or 7D, is that where we're at? Yeah,
Do you say
7D.
D as in day?
Yes, the reduction of the restaurant environmental fees.
Okay.
This may be a moot point, depending on
what OHA does.
Yeah, but anyway, go ahead.
Well, yeah, and I'm aware of that, and I appreciate that. And in the work we've been doing with them, I'm convinced that this can't hurt.
Okay.
If nothing else, if it gives public awareness to what these restaurants are up against, what up and down, and the tremendous inventory loss, the employment loss, You know, I'm just going to make a recommendation to the board, and this is my 4th attempt. It might be my 3rd. I don't know. I included it all, but I've been accused of, you know, we're going to have the Department of Justice look into, because I asked 2 restaurants. I said it was more than that, but I went back and checked my notes, and it was 2, and I certainly didn't say anything. You don't have to pay the fees. What I said was, you know, I've been working on this for 3 or 4 months. We have a new board. I think they're somewhat amenable to looking at what Josephine County did, and that is offering to waive a full year. These people have just been hit so hard, and you know, my job is to look out for the citizens and the employees and their interest, and there's absolutely nothing improper or illegal or any of that. So the board sees my intent. The board sees the history of what I've recommended here, and in deference to those people that need help, I apologize that I didn't have a specific recommendation, but you've heard me say before, either a 40% discount or just waive the fees for 1 year, and let's deal with OHA. We're going to sit down at the table with them and challenge them. They're going to challenge us, and so that's my take. Let's. I mean, I heard some things last meeting that basically said they go out of business. So what? I mean, that was the spirit with some of the people in this room, and I'm just shocked. I mean, if you spend time with them and you see the effort they made, and you see no fault of theirs, my recommendation to the board for consideration is a full year waiver of fees, and yeah, we probably have to communicate to our employers, our eateries, that we're going to work hard to make that case to the Oregon Health Authority, but it may be challenged, and we may ultimately lose. So, does everybody understand that recommendation and that request? And can I get a motion, please, Commissioner Pash?
Well, I just want to state that I don't believe you can make that motion. I've read the ORSs on this, and Council Pope may want to comment on this, but from what I've read in the ORSs, the state sets all the health department fees for the inspections. Those are state mandated. And from what I read from the ORS, the only way that those fees, that a county government can reduce those fees in any way is for, and I'm probably gonna miss 1 or 2, but for a religious organization, for people that are needing of charity, for homeless, those kind of things, we can waive those fees. But us as a county government cannot waive fees that are state mandated in any way. The other issue with this is you've already said you're giving public health back to the state, and I understand Mr. Rickard's comment a moment ago, and to expound on that, you've already given the authority to do that away from this board. You've said, state, we're giving you back public health. And the state has responded, as we'll talk about later in a further in a further topic here. So we have no authority as a board to reduce any fees any longer. You gave that away when you voted to give this back to the state. So I think there's 2 precedents here, and again, I would defer to Council Pope, as I may be incorrect on this. The first thing is you've already voted to give it back to the state, which gives away your right to change anything from that point on. And secondly, as far as I read from the ORSs, we couldn't legally do it anyway because they're state mandated. That's all I have, sir.
Council Pope, do you want to speak to that, please?
Yeah, sure. And I think as far as the ORSs, if we can or can't waive them, I'm not 100% sure on that. I'd want to look into that more.
Okay.
But I think it is a valid concern that we are in the process of transitioning our program over to the Oregon Health Authority. And so without coordinating with them, I'd be uncomfortable moving forward with something like this, to make sure that we're just all on the same page and, doing the right thing.
Thank you. So to date, the past board and this board hasn't been willing to do anything. At least none of the commissioners, other than myself, have picked up. So is the board willing to do anything to draw attention to this? Because many of the restaurants, and I just want to tell a quick story here. Kent Downs, who left, he contacted me and said, hey, how do I get upriver to inspect some of these remote places? And I said, I think we can help you on that. I think Sheriff's Department might even be able to help you. And I said, I can even call the Forest Service. And so logistically, it's a very tough area because it's road, there are no roads, it's boat access only. And he was had a little bit of anxiety on how he could get this done. And so as a commissioner, I offered to help and even laid out an itinerary on which lodges are on which side of the river. Mariel is road accessible, and you might have to go to Paradise and walk 3.5 miles. So I was just kind of working with him and seeing how I could possibly assist. And I also did contact the Forest Service and say, hey, if our health inspector, I can only take him up for the day, or could the Sheriff's Department possibly take him up for the day, and then he could may be required to stay overnight, and Forest Service could bring him out the next day. I just wanted to kind of orient him to what this situation was, and he wanted to do his job. Anyway, later on in the government ethics allegations violation, I was accused of trying to do something that would financially benefit me. And it was so shocking, and yet those allegations were full of similar, absolutely baseless charges. So he gave up, and the lodges didn't get done. And that's a big part of our TLT program. Should be. So I just want the public to know that's the kind of stuff that I've had to deal with here. These people that employ in our restaurants, you've heard me make the statement prior that, people come here for the jet boats, you bet, the beaches and the Kalmiopsis, all the above, the Wild River coast. But they come here because our restaurants are special and unique. And if you haven't been in the food business, it is really tough under any circumstances. And so these people wrote a bad check, or unintentionally, or flat didn't have the money. I would not do anything different. To go to those people and support them and say, hey, I'm trying to get a reduced fee. I'm trying to figure out, $900 is what it charges, and you didn't get inspected. So is the board willing to do anything to send a message to these people other than tough luck? And I don't mean to poke anybody here, but it seems like that's the attitude we're taking, that we're up against a state law, or there's nothing we can do. But I've heard the stories, and it's really tough duty, gentlemen. So is the board willing to do anything then, to make a recommendation to OHA, to lobby for that, to say, here's where we are, we're behind in our inspections, no finger pointing there, but Downs is gone, and I would have loved a chance to take him upriver and work with him and introduce him to those 5 places, plus Agnes, 3 in Agnes, but I didn't get the chance. I couldn't begin to figure out why. So one more time, I'm going to ask the question, is the board willing to do something there that might send, again, the message to the restaurants that we know what you're up against, and we'll help you any way we can. Thank you. Yes.
I think that, and I'm not positive, but I think we have, as a commission and as a county, not waived any fees, but said the timing. Is there anything that anybody can remember about, maybe even going back the last year, about timing? Miranda?
I just wanted to... Miranda Plagge, Economic Development. I just wanted to clarify, TLT actually has nothing to do with health inspection fees.
What's that again?
The TLT funds or collection,
say...
it has nothing to do with inspection fees. I just wanted to make that clear.
Did I misspoke?
I just wanted to be sure.
Thank you very much. Okay, then I'll just comment to this. The support the county could have gave them with good inspections, that could have been done. That connection, actually, our people from TLT should be going on that boat too. in meeting these people and showing them the system. That was my original intent with Half Moon Lodge when new owners took over. It was, hey, we wish you all the luck in the world, but by the way, we do have a transit lodging tax program. So I'm glad to get that clarification there. Administrator Ward?
Good morning, Board. Good morning, public. Cherie Ward, still currently Curry County Public Health Administrator. I want to discuss the environmental health fees. And first off, I want to thank Josephine County. Josephine County Commissioners, Board of Commissioners, Environmental Health Program, WIC program. I've had the utmost, Curry County citizens have had the utmost support from Josephine County. And I can't thank them enough. And I want to put that on the record, and I want to put that on the record to their board and all of their employees who have come to help assist Curry County while we are going through this horrible transition or whatever situation we are going to. I believe this is a shining moment, and I do believe that Curry County can come forward and still have a current public health program as well as a current environmental health program and mental health program. Curry County citizens and Curry County still deserve and always do deserve a vital and lucrative public health program, as well as a environmental health program, as well as, most importantly, mental health program. So on that, I do want to address the environmental health fees reduction. So where I'm going with this is Josephine County, the board has signed an MOU with Josephine County to handle our environmental health program currently, while we are still trying to extend an offer of employment for coordinator. After speaking with Josephine County, who has been processing and handling our environmental health fees, any complaints that are coming in, as well as any plan reviews. Unfortunately, the day that you and the board, and I mean no disrespect to our board, decided to turn this over to the state, services still need to happen in Curry County. And those services have been happening, and those phone calls still come in. Restaurant owners, public health, all of it. And when losing staff and you turning it over, the state didn't agree at that point in juncture to take back public health or environmental health at that moment. So I'm kind of wondering where the big plan was and what you were going to do if I wasn't sitting in that chair every day and coming into this office every day to help provide some type of services to our community. So I want that on the record. So Josephine County has been processing for us, environmental health coordinators, and thank you to their staff. But I will tell you, the total licensing so far received just in the health space system, we are behind on getting all those fees in, but our treasurer could let us know exactly what our environmental health fees have come in to date. We still have to get some entered over into Josephine County for them to put it into our system. But currently we have received $130,947.50. Based on those fees for 2021, $49,594 is still outstanding. A lot of those fees are late fees of $24,406. And unpaid, some might be some unpaid 2020 licenses. So Curry County Public Health, from the moment that we came in here, has stated that if through COVID-19, with the restaurants and people wanting to and having to pay those permits with the state and everything, we weren't doing complete inspections. And so when it came down to it, yes, they still had to pay fees for that. In regards to occupancy, we had environmental health, also a coordinator there. Invoicing went out. We've had individuals paying their fees. They have always had the option to speak with Curry County Public Health to work out a payment plan if they needed that. We chose to go ahead and reduce the late fees. Now, those get automatically generated in the health space system. But when they send in, say for instance, a $950 permit, that states that they had, and maybe their invoice shows they have $300 worth of late fees. We are waiving those late fees before we put that. If they pay that permit, we're waiving that. So I just want that clear, that we are trying our best to help the restaurants, okay? Did I expect to be losing coordinator, an environmental health coordinator, and all of that? No. So we jumped on that. We got Josephine County, and they're able to help address those situations with us. Also, one of the things I don't believe the board realizes is that even though we do know that we have to, with environmental health, we have to remit. So we have to pay the state fees as well. And those fees don't stop if we decide to reduce 40% of those fees. So I'm telling you that right now, the remittance memo for OHA for a fiscal year, it's 14.68% of the profits that we make. And so $10,000 is a remittance fee that has to go to the state to run the environmental health program. So that doesn't stop. So if you want to reduce that, now you want to give back control to the state, means that takes that one-on-one working with those entities and saying, yeah, we can maybe work out a payment plan with you, or we could do that. It takes that completely out of our hands and control as a community and services. I'm not saying we're perfect. We were handed a boat, and it was a sinking boat when we got it. Now we have an opportunity to rebuild it. However it goes, I believe the citizens deserve to have environmental health program. I believe this, and Josephine County did advise me today that the one program that runs in the black is the environmental health program. It pays for itself. So if you're deciding to turn that all back over to the state, we're still going to end up having to pay for some type of remittance. And so I just wanted to let you know that in regards to environmental health and where we stand on that for the environmental health program.
Hang on one second, thank you. So I appreciate the clarification, I understand that, and the effort to work with them on the late fees. Some have been shut down for 2/3 of the 2020 season, so they're wondering, okay, I'm not getting inspected, and I've been shut down that amount of time, and I still have to pay the full fee. So there's a lot of ORSs that are going to be changed or were somewhat amended because of what we dealt with COVID. As you well know, the surprises we got every day, every week, every month.
I'm getting it every day, and I even got it today, thank you.
Yeah, so you can relate better than anyone here, I would think. So the point is, I just come back to what could we have done other than say, okay, we'll let go of the late fees. We understand that you were shut down for 2/3 of the year, and you lost all this inventory. But as a county, we're not going to be able to help you other than we'll relinquish the or forego the late fees. It's not enough to me personally. It's just my opinion. And who's fighting for them? So the state, I'm not convinced, is going to come in and say we're in charge now. Get the HE double hockey stick out of the way. If they are, then we're going to have some pushback. I'm just not anticipating that at all, especially when it comes to environmental fees and how important these places are to our visitor industry. That's all I have. Thank you.
And I did want to put on the record from day one, I have been in support of not harming our community and our economics at all. COVID-19 is a virus. It's not any different than a communicable disease that we deal with. We need to find the fix. It's a communicable disease. We have to report it. It has to be investigated. As we go forward into recovery, it's going to end up being just like another communicable disease as we have guidance that we have to, investigate. Right now, we're still in that process of what's the cure, vaccines, how much is the quarantine and isolation, all of that aspect in the health aspect of a virus. So will we get past this? COVID-19 is going to be with us forever. Okay, it's a virus. How do we cope with it and how do we handle COVID-19 in the future is where we need to come to terms with. It's just like every other communicable disease that is a reportable disease.
I'm going to ask you to stick around for a little bit if you can, because it's going right into our next item, which is put on by Commissioner Pash. But before you leave, do either of the commissioners have a question of Administrator Ward?
Sure, you answered my question. I knew we were waiving something. It was the late fees, and I would go with Anthony's. You know, without him looking into what we can and can't do as a board, I couldn't move forward with any other recommendation.
Let me make sure I understand. So, no movement forward to any kind of, even to recommend it to OHA that we give a break in the fees or part of the fees at all. Is that your position?
Well,
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
yeah,
I just
no,
want to make sure I understand.
that's my position.
Okay.
You know, until the council could say we can or cannot do it.
So I just, Commissioner Herzog, or I'm sorry, Pash, I apologize.
No, I don't really have anything other than I don't believe that we can legally do that, and that's my opinion. I do not believe we have the legal authority to change anything, to ask the state to do anything. I'll go into in a few minutes some of the things that I've learned from the state, but and again, I'm not saying there isn't an ORS that somehow changes anything, but all I know is the current ORSs that I've found through my investigation of this, we have no legal standing to tell the state or ask the state to do anything.
So I'll just conclude with this, thank you. When you look at what's going on with the governor and OHA and their authority and how it's been exerted this past 15 months, we're in that position anyway. So my position is, how can we work with the Oregon Health Authority? And I think we started that process 2 or 3 months ago. And so I want the public to know I'm looking out for our restaurants and the families that are supported by those restaurants, and I'm going to continue to do that. And I am going to be lobbying. I wish we had full board approval that basically said, can we at least make a recommendation to OHA? But I sense that that's going nowhere, and that's very disappointing to me. But I've been in the restaurant business. I know it's tough duty, and these people have been through really, really tough times, and it's just hard to watch. And so even if $900 for 1 year is symbolic, you know, I'd rather cut cost here than say it's our money that we're giving up. We don't keep them afloat. It's going to be even worse. So, Commissioner Pash, we need to go to the next agenda item.
Well, basically, this is continuing the conversation, and we've actually covered a lot of it in this conversation. I just want the public to be aware that we were sent a letter this week from the local public health, Oregon Health Authority. Wow, first day with my new lips. From Rachel Banks, and I just want to highlight a couple of things in this letter. That they basically, our local public health is going to be handled now through Portland, and they are telling us what they can and will do and don't have to do, and they are not required to provide. This is one of the things in this letter. OHA is not required to provide any regular staff on site, as many of these statutory obligations can be completed from OHA's central offices in Portland. We may choose to utilize subcontractors to deliver these services within the jurisdiction, and the delivery of those services would be a matter of OHA's discretion as the new local public health authority. So basically, the gist of this letter that they sent us, and it's open for, if anyone wants to see it, you can contact me. It is that OHA, and this is another quote from them, is not obligated to provide or contract for the provision of public health services and activities within the jurisdiction beyond these following statutory obligations. So they're basically telling us right here in this letter that they're not obligated to do certain things, and that basically our public health will now be run from Portland, and basically everything will be long distance. There will be no more hand-to-mouth kind of conversations like we have now with Administrator Ward. There will be no more public pressing of flesh, for lack of a better word, to be able to have our constituents, the people in this county, have someone that they can call and talk to in this county that understands what they're dealing with. The WIC services that are provided in this county, that Administrator Ward had already taken steps to hire someone to cover that with the loss of the employees that she had, and the MOUs that she had already had prepared to be signed in an agreement with Jackson County commissioners who fully agreed that they would evidently rather see this remain in Curry County, or they wouldn't have agreed to it. They would have said, hey, send that up to Portland as well. One more fact for the citizens of this county is there's only one county in this whole state that has given public health back to the state. Do we really want Curry County to be run by the state of Oregon? Or do we want to have our local controls here to be held by our local public health authority, as Curry County to be the local public health authority? And I don't want to belabor this, but this was all started a few years ago, a couple of years ago, by Ken Duque, and when he decided not to renew contracts with this county. And we are probably going to be discussing the mental health side of this in more detail and then in the coming minutes. But now we have learned that he wants to bail on the mental health services, and that in itself has put this county in the situation that it is in, and has put the reorganization of public health in the state it's in. And I am in great fear for what's going to happen to our mental health services in this county as well. I attended a meeting 2 nights ago in Brookings. Jenny Williams, the CEO of the hospital here, as well as one of her board members, and their head nurse, testified before the Brookings City Council of the great strides that they'd made in the hospital here in the county in the last year and a half, when they expected a lot worse. I think the only negative comment I heard from her is she's waiting for the board to see what's going to happen with mental health, because they are in fear, and I'm not quoting her, I'm giving her answer in a broad sense, that they would be in fear of having to deal with the non-transfer of mental health services from the hospital to the mental health services of the county. And how would they stage that situation, not only with members of the jail, and those kind of issues, but with suicidal and all those kind of issues. She would be looking for direction immediately, because they don't even know how they could begin to deal with some of the issues that giving mental health services back to the state would cause here in the county. So this is just a quagmire that is going to continue. I would urge this board, I see we have an amended order from the state that we're going to have to re-vote on, because evidently what we sent them, they weren't in agreement with. They amended it and have asked us to re-vote on this. So I would urge this board to rethink the damage that we're going to do by giving public health to the state, and work as hard as we can with the state and with our director of public health to keep it here, and then begin to deal with the things that we're going to have to deal with mental health services, as we have an upcoming court date, and that hasn't even been adjudicated by a judge yet, the answer that we're asking in that. So to move forward with that is, in my opinion, extremely premature, and I think we need to let our local court make a decision on what we've asked them before we move forward with any movement on mental health services. That's all I have, sir.
Commissioner Herzog?
No question, no comment.
Well, thank you both. Here's an email we got, I think, on the 12th, give or take. If local public health is failing to administer and enforce public health laws, OHA's director is required to take direct charge of the functions necessary to preserve public health in that jurisdiction. The expense, key line here, the expense of taking charge of these duties is to be borne by the local public health authority unless the local public health authority requests a transfer of its authority, which we have done. The housekeeping effort today is just that, refining a little bit. There's no ambiguity with Oregon Health Authority. If Oregonians want change in the public health aspect and the expense that it is and the tremendous qualifications required, the tremendous organization, it's going to have to come from the legislature. It's not going to come from county by county that simply cannot. And a lot of counties are looking at Wallowa County, now Curry County, and there are some issues. It's just not Curry County struggling here. It's going to be very important for the public to know, how did we get here? We can keep blaming it. This board can keep blaming it on Ken Duque. It just isn't going to hold water. The facts don't support that. How we got here was boards that were inactive, that passed the buck and didn't do their job, and then it got dumped back in our lap. And then we have the Oregon Health Authority come in and say, you're not doing your job. We're going to make some serious changes here. It didn't come as a surprise. You know, we would have liked to have maintained this. It's one of the toughest decisions that I've ever made. But I'm going to stake my reputation on being able to work with OHA. And you just offered that, Commissioner Pash, which I appreciate, in that we better bring everybody to the table. The CCOs are running in place. We've got some tremendous opportunities here. Public health today is different from past years. Many services are now available to the citizens through the Oregon Health Plan. It's no surprise our county has struggled for a lot of years, and it's been costly. We do not have the resources. I'm not done. Thank you.
I thought you were done. Excuse me.
That's okay. We obviously don't have the staff. We're down to one. As we move forward on this, the challenge for us, and something that we have not done and could have done with Curry Community Health, we could have brought everybody to the table, and we failed to do that. Instead, we went the legal route. Boy, did we show them. No, we failed the citizens, we failed the process, and here's what we're dealing with today, to where people in this community are saying the craziest things because they don't have the information. So back to the legislature, that's what it's going to take. Here's a letter I got from Kara Biddlecom. I'll just read the first couple of paragraphs. This is the person representing OHA and why I have good optimism. Dear Chair Boyce, this is April 27th, yesterday. Thank you for your email and thinking through communications for Curry County residents. First, from a communications perspective, OHA is implementing the resolution made by the governing body of the Curry County Local Public Health Authority. The decision to transfer was one made by the Curry County Board of Commissioners, and we aim to make the transition as seamless as possible for the benefit of the communities. I appreciate your framing of service to the citizens of Curry County, as I certainly want to instill confidence and trust in your county residents that OHA will be supporting their health through implementation of statutorily required public health programs. From our perspective, our press release will need to focus on the facts of the transfer, what it means to county residents, and what we will be doing collaboratively on the transition. So I'm looking forward to working with them. They've got the horsepower. If you want to contact, let's see, Representative Brock Smith's name was brought up today. He was a commissioner here for 4 years. He knows what public health, the difficulties that come with that, the money that is required that we don't have. I just don't know how we can get around that. I don't know how we could ignore that. And I'm not going to let us ignore how we got here today and the tragedy of how I strongly believe and lobbied so hard for to avoid. So that's all I have. So you have something, Sheriff?
Well, I have a lot of things to say, but Sheriff Ward, Curry County Sheriff's Office. You know, when Curry Community Health had the contract for public health, they dumped it back on the county. County wasn't prepared to take it. They didn't have the resources to do it. It had to be built. They had to take some staff. Now, the staff that just quit, I made a comment last meeting that it may have been because of higher wages that they were getting back then, and they were going to be, I mean, maybe I may have misspoke. Whatever the reason they quit, they quit. We have to move forward, okay? The thing is, when that letter came out, it came out within a few days after public health went down to one staff. So there's some issues there, but it also said that local public health authority basically is not enforcing the public health laws. Mr. Boyce, didn't you send a letter to the governor's office about 2 months ago saying that we're not going to enforce any lockdowns, anything that restricts county people and everything? That means that you don't want to follow their guidance, the OHA's guidance or whatever. You're not going to follow it. And then I hear that you're going to get maybe 5 counties to make a resolution to go against the governor's orders of the masks and things like that. Well, that's not enforcing the public health laws. I mean, to me, it just makes sense that you're not. Now, when you're not including the public health director in on that, how is she supposed to enforce those laws if you're telling the state to shove it up there, you know what? But now you want to take the control back from the state, but then you turn around and you want to give them public health and mental health. Let me tell you something about mental health. The sheriff's office, the local police department, and the state police use mental health services every day.
You want to stay around? We're going to talk about mental health
Hold
later.
on. We're talking about, and what happens when we deal with the suicidal people every day, people with mental illness. We contact mental health locally. Hey, we need some help. We need an evaluation. If we do a peace officer hold on somebody because they're a suicidal or danger to somebody, we take them to the hospital. Public health, mental health is supposed to come and deal with that. If they don't, we have to take that person and give them right back to the situation we just pulled them out of and say sorry, or tell the family, sorry, we can't help you. When we arrest somebody with a mental illness and we put them in jail and they're suicidal, we have to put them on a suicide watch. The only way we can take them off a suicide watch is if we have a local mental health person come and make an evaluation, do a treatment plan, whatever, before we can take them off. Otherwise, they sit in a cell and we have to watch them by themselves. Okay, and we can't take them off. And you think Portland's going to come down here and send a mental health provider down here and say, hey, we'll deal with it? No, you don't do that virtually. We have to have local mental health authority here. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to do our jobs, and we don't have the resources to deal with people who are in jail with mental health. They don't need to be there, but that's the problem.
Sheriff, do you feel like Curry Community Health, if we're just going to talk about mental health here for a moment, do you think they did a reasonably good job the times they contracted with the county?
You know what? At first, it was horrible, and then it got better, and now it's bad again, but we still have people, we still have that resource. We don't want to do it without the resource.
Yeah, the reason I asked that question is because you said it's bad again, and I submit to the public, that's because we took them to court. That was a wrong strategy.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
We took
that.
Curry Community Health to court instead of working with them. That was the bad strategy.
That's not my realm.
Well, you're here talking today, so I'm just having an honest dialogue with you, and I appreciate if we have a give and take here. So that's how we got
it's not my realm. I don't deal with the
But you answered my
legal
question, which
portion
I
of it.
appreciated. You said, it got good and then it got bad again. So that's good data for me and the board to hear, in my opinion.
Well, you read into that what you want to read into it. It's still that we still have the services. Maybe we don't get exactly what we want. Maybe we can't get them all the time. but we still have them available.
Okay. Commissioner Pash.
You just said a little while ago that you would like to see all the CCOs get together and everyone get together for mental health and talk about, you know, the transition for that, no matter what it is. And I appreciate that. What I'd like to ask you is, why didn't that happen with public health? What was the rush to kill public health? Why couldn't we have said, you know what, let's have a workshop, let's get the hospital together? Because when Ms. Schmelzer and I spoke with Oregon Public Health, or Oregon Health Authority, about having to take public health back, OHA came down here and met with us. We had phone conversations, and they said, we'll do all we can. Miss Razzo from Williams now, from the hospital, said, hey, once you guys get public health up and running, let us know. We'll come over and meet with you, and we'll start, you know, maybe I can share a service with you. Maybe we can help expedite something for public health. What I don't understand is why we couldn't have a workshop, why we couldn't have a public meeting and invite the hospital, invite the CCOs over here and talk about the letter that Miss Ward got. And by then we would have already had her answer and perhaps another letter from the state and gotten direction of what we'd already solved. She'd already hired someone to handle WIC services. She had already got an MOU together with another county and their board of commissioners saying, hey, we want to help. So she was already taking all the steps. And why we couldn't have just taken a little pause and said, you know, let's get the hospital, let's get all the CCOs, let's get all the people that this is important to, discuss it, and then make a decision that was based on all the facts, rather than looking at a letter and saying, oh, we got to act on this today, when we didn't even have an answer due from our public health administrator for a forward-looking time.
Excuse me, when you talk about those letters, you're not reading all the letters. I know when the response was sent on the 16th and what they did, I read a copy of the letter that came back. It says, hey, you know, basically the way I'll summarize it, it looks good. You know, we really don't want to get involved unless we actually have to, but your board already voted to give it back. Come on, guys. You're talking about what's damaging to our county or to our citizens. The citizens never had a chance to speak up about anything. You rushed it right through, and that was my whole thing. What is the rush? You got a letter from the state because they got a complaint from somebody. I'm assuming that somebody that had worked here or worked around county government has said this is what's going on, and they sent this threatening letter, and you act on it. Boom. Without even letting the public know or getting anybody a chance to figure out how to fix it. You just don't give away. You've been fighting with the state to take control back, but then you turn around and giving it to them.
Well, we have a line that can't be crossed, and that's our responsibility. And we also, in the middle of the worst health crisis in 100 years, it's their issue to deal with. They have the money, they have the qualifications, they have the expertise. And so the best thing we can do is team up with them. That's the decision I made for the very best to the citizens. And we got down to one employee. That's dangerous. That's dangerous.
Well, there was in process hiring somebody. You guys never took that step. There's MOUs in place. It was starting to rebuild before even they got that letter. You never gave it a chance. That's just it. And I'll say it again. I've asked her to quit this job a couple months ago.
Sheriff, that doesn't hold any water anymore.
It does.
Well, not to me it doesn't. I'm sorry.
It does.
With all due respect, doesn't. You're out of line to even.
No,
have
I'm
an
not
opinion
out of
on
line.
this,
What
in
I'm
my
saying is, she didn't need to work here. But if she would have quit, this county would have been in bad shape because of the COVID response. When that COVID response comes, that's the priority. Everybody is all hands on deck to do that. And it's her. She has kept this county going through this whole thing. Worked 10 cases yesterday that came in.
You don't have an argument there. I don't think from anybody on this board, you don't have an argument. The position we need to take as a county is what's the best thing for the citizens and how do we proceed aggressively forward to overcome we
But you
have.
never gave it a thought, Court. You guys voted it right through it when you got that letter. You go, oh my God, we got to do something right now.
No, we didn't respond that way. We didn't get panicky. We spent
You had an executive
late-night
session,
hours trying
and
to
two
figure out the
days
best
later,
thing
you
to do.
voted to give it away with no discussion with the public. And I'll
So-
guarantee you, I've talked to several high people in the cities who are also affected by this, and they're very upset that they never got to weigh in on it. Taking public
Do they
health
want to
services
contribute
away.
to the county budget, Sheriff?
What's that?
Do the cities want to contribute to the county budget? I
That's
don't
not
think
my
so.
purview, okay?
Well, you're saying it's the county's
Let
responsibility.
me ask you, you said there's no money for public health, that's the drain on the county. What happened to the 4.6 million that's coming in? And most of it, I'll tell you, David
got-
Barnes can explain it too. Most of that's supposed to go for public health services.
You know what? There's going to be a line outside that door a mile long telling us how we should spend it. And I hope to God that we put it in a lockbox and use extreme caution because the pressure is going to be tremendous. Did you have something, Commissioner John?
No, just a little. John, I appreciate your passion. But this was not a snap decision, a rush decision on my part. And I, you know.
Well, I sent you an email. I never got a response back from him, but I pointed out some things that I wanted you to think about. And if you say it's not a snap decision, how can it not be when you get a letter and all of a sudden 2 days or 4 days later, you're giving public health back? That's a rush decision. Commissioner Pash
you're
also
next.
said basically, let's get the groups together. Let's figure out how to fix this, and not just. That's the only explanation is let's give it back.
So, yes, you're next. I'm sorry.
So what I want to say is, everyone was saying what a drain on the budget public health is. Public health, WIC services pretty much pay for themselves with the fees that we get. WIC services pretty much, as a matter of fact, they might even be profitable. There might be profit in WIC services. The other emergency services or environmental health services, those are also pretty much a break even. I think the only thing that public health is losing money on is we have to contribute quite a bit to the director's salary. But other than that, public health isn't losing a lot of money for the county on its bottom line. So I just want to make sure everyone was clear on that.
So, are we?
I hate to interrupt, but I have a partial answer for you, Mr. Pash, if
We'll give you two minutes, Connie. Please join us. Thank you.
Connie Hunter, and I'm talking as the person who is tasked with the Access to Healthcare work group for our Community Health Improvement Plan. And that's the coalition between our two CCOs. And one of the things that Commissioner Pash asked was, why didn't these meetings happen? Why weren't the CCOs brought in and a conversation? And I have to tell you that we were in the process of getting those meetings together and even had talked about having a workshop. Commissioner Court is our Community Advisory Council chairperson for Advanced Health. However, because of COVID and everything that happened, meeting times we tried to set them up. It wasn't like we were refused that, okay? We weren't. It was a matter of, and I won't use the term that veterans use, we'll call it a cluster mess, and a coronavirus being the cause of that. So I'm not pleading left, right, or center. I'm just saying there are reasons that those things happened, and those things were attempted. And when the 3 city managers were going to meet with public health, I tried to get an invitation. I should have went directly to Cherie instead of the city managers saying, let's have those CCOs in there. And that's where a big shortfall happened. And so I'm not here to do anything to thumbs up or thumbs down anything, but just fill in some information blanks that those things were tried and just couldn't happen. And some of it's I'm gonna have to say, some of it is my own personal failure for not recognizing everything. But we did have conversations that pieces were falling through the cracks. And that's all we wanted to address, but it just didn't happen for those reasons. Thank you.
And all I'm saying is nothing should have been done until those meetings took place. Nothing should have been, no final decision should have been made until the CCOs, the hospital, everyone in this county that was going to help to contribute to public health and its success could get together in a room and brainstorm it to make decisions. That's my point.
David Barnes, County Treasurer. I just want to make comment here. Commissioner Herzog, you said that you thought long and hard about this and got a lot of info. One of the things you didn't do is come to anybody and ask what the financial implications were for this county. That's, as far as I'm concerned, that's a pretty critical part of making an informed decision and forming your opinion, but you did not do that, sir. I sent you an email on Monday offering you the opportunity to come and sit down with me, and I would explain the financials to you, but you didn't take me up on it. Commissioner Boyce, you mentioned how public health has been a problem for years. I need to bring up, and I need to make sure the public remembers that you were on the board of Curry Community Health while this was happening. You say it came as a shock to everybody that this happened, but you were on the board.
I didn't say anything about a shock.
You were on the were you or were you not on the board
Yes,
of
and I know
Community Curry
Facebook
Health?
said I was a paid director, which is absolutely
I did not ask that,
ridiculous.
sir. I asked,
Well,
were
but
you on the
promoted
board?
that.
Were you on the board of Community Curry Health?
Absolutely, proudly,
Okay.
sir.
And you gave up that board seat when, sir? About a week or two after this whole thing happened?
Yeah, that was the appropriate thing to do. So November of what? 2019, I believe. What's that? Next. So we have what I am going to propose, commissioners, is a task force. I've had 4 different public health professionals. I tried this in April, and oh boy, did I get shot out of the saddle. But I'm going to try it again, and I think we get these kind of people that are in this community that will contribute their time. This is how we can hopefully be better prepared to be at the table with OHA and the CCOs, and I'm very optimistic, incredibly optimistic. So, I need a motion for, let's see, that was just your agenda item. So then we go to, do we need to finish this, Council Pope, as far as adopting the ordinance, going from the resolution to the ordinance?
I think that's up to you guys. We can move forward, or we can do it after lunch.
No, let's do it now. I would entertain a motion and be done. And then the next item will be, when we come back from lunch, would be, correct me if I'm wrong, termination of the financing, two different agreements, excuse me. So do we have a motion?
Motion for amended resolution of transferring local public health authority responsibility from Curry County to the Oregon Health Authority.
Second? I'll second. Any further discussion? Call for the question.
Commissioner Pash.
No.
At 1 o'clock sharp, please.
Commissioner, I believe lunch needs to be an hour.
Nice try, boys.
1:20.
How about 1:15? Thanks, JJ. Hang
There's something about having land and sea. Never having to choose between digging in or looking out. Here, you can go where the spirit or the wind moves you. To more wild and scenic rivers than anywhere else in the western United States. We're the closest place to the sunset while still keeping your feet dry, and a destination where anyone can begin. We share more than we keep, so you can see more than you imagined. This is a place you have to touch, hold, and feel to believe. The entire shoreline of the West Coast's best coast is open to you, and playgrounds made of forests are waiting for you. Escape to Curry County and don't leave anything out.
If yours is the next big idea, and you need the right place to fine-tune it, build it, launch it, if you're only your best when you can play more than you work, if inspiration comes from the outside, you belong in Curry County. The westernmost point of the land you love, and the edge between familiar and uncharted. Break the pattern. Be where the airports are as close as the beaches, and industry and recreation never cease to amaze. Dock, dive, and dine in a single day, and never lose your connection. This is the threshold of the West. Live where you can do you.
Based on action